everybody is not doing fine today. So, jokes apart, everybody, those who are into the markets from maybe more than a decade or 2, 3 decades are habitual of habitual would be a wrong word to use, but again, they know the texture of market and such kind of brutal corrections had happened in the past also. But again, if we talk about uh, the time which is like post COVID, so it appears that today's day was the most brutal one. At least in my knowledge, I haven't seen such kind of correction, and that has been like continuing from last 3 4 days and has wiped out profit of most of the participants who are very gung-ho about the market. So although like some people were also pointing out कि आज कोई spaces नहीं है, so I thought it is a good day to discuss. Obviously, when such corrections happen, we normally try to relate different reasons for this fall, but actual reason might be different, or maybe there could be more than one reasons as well. So let's make this a interactive discussion, and those who are free can surely join us as a speaker and share their thoughts. But I would request each and every one of you to limit your inputs in limited time so that others also get a time to share their thoughts. And there could be a number of reasons for this fall, and like see, whatever has happened till today has gone, but how we should be placing ourselves going forward is a bigger question, right? So people from last 2 3 years, it was happening that 1 or 2 days of correction was followed by a V-shaped recovery kind of thing, and there was very limited lull period during last 2 3 years. So this continuous 3 4 days of brutal correction in the market has certainly bring anxiety and lot of confusion amongst the new participants, market participant, or I am one amongst them. So basically, the COVID investors, which we call, who have joined the market after the COVID Black Swan event. So I open the floor. If anybody is interested, they can surely send in a speaker request, and we can also take questions if there are any, because I surely assume there would be a plenty of forced investors, and there would be very few smart investors who had sold prior to this correction, or maybe they a sizable amount of cash which they believe is a good time to invest now. So we'll have a discussion around that, and one by one we'll go over to that. So quickly, I go to Brijesh first, and then Suyog and others are also. So Vineet also, if you are free, you can join, and Ramanjeet also I can see from the familiar faces. So Brijesh, क्या लग रहा है? And I mean, if you can relate it with the past, to or going forward also, like how you are placing yourself.
हेलो एवरीवन, गुड इवनिंग। देखिए प्रिंस भाई, मार्केट में करेक्शंस आर द पार्ट ऑफ बुल मार्केट। तो लास्ट एक साल से देखें या 2020 कोविड लो से देखें तो मार्केट वन वे एक तरफा बढ़ा ही बढ़ा है कंटिन्यूस, और बार बार वार्निंग्स आ रही थी। वैल्यूएशंस बहुत ओवर स्ट्रेस थे एसएमई और स्मॉल कैप और माइक्रो कैप कंपनीज में। स्टॉक्स सर्किट टू सर्किट चल रहे थे। एक होल्डिंग कंपनी, इन्वेस्टमेंट कंपनी है, वो एनएवी से ऑलमोस्ट डबल प्राइस पे ट्रेड होने लग गई थी। तो साइंस पर विजिबल, और साथ में मार्च ईयर एंड जो होता है तो वहाँ पे टैक्स हार्वेस्टिंग भी होती है। एडवांस टैक्स की लाइबिलिटीज भी एचएनआईज को काफी बड़ी है, और एचएनआईज के टैक्स ब्रैकेट्स भी बढ़ जाते हैं, क्योंकि वंस यू क्रॉस 1 करोड़ net income, then surcharge is very high, and after 5 crore, there is again the slab is very high. तो वो सब टैक्स ऑब्लिगेशन के लिए भी सेलिंग आनी थी, और मार्केट में कभी भी वन वे डायरेक्शन में मार्केट कभी लीनियर मूवमेंट में नहीं जा सकता, जिस तरीके से लास्ट 1 साल में बढ़ा है बाजार। फ्रॉम सेटलमेंट नंबर 1 29 30 मार्च से, जब से लास्ट ईयर 2023 से मार्केट बढ़ना शुरू हुआ है, तो कोई मीनिंगफुल करेक्शन मार्केट में कभी भी नहीं हुआ। तो मैं तो उसको एक लिटमस टेस्ट मानता हूँ, और जिससे आप कार्डिक पेशेंट जाता है तो उसका जो टीएमटी स्ट्रेस टेस्ट होता है, तो इट्स लाइक दैट। ठीक है, आपको यहाँ पे ही मालूम पड़ेगा कि कौन से स्टॉक्स पोर्टफोलियो में अच्छे हैं और कौन से खराब हैं। और फ्रेंकली स्पीकिंग, मैंने भी कोई बहुत बड़ा कैश जनरेट नहीं किया डिस्पाइट नोइंग ऑल दिस थिंग, लेकिन मेरा व्यू मार्केट में हमेशा पिछले 30 35 साल से मार्केट में हूँ मैं। तो वेल्थ लॉन्ग टर्म में बनती है, ऐसे कई दिन आते हैं मार्केट में, उनको इग्नोर करके जाना होता है। और इतने सारे टूल्स और इतनी सारी आपको रोज पोर्टफोलियो वैल्यूज देखने के आपके पास चांसेस हो गए हैं, तो रोज आप देखते हो, बाकी रोज पोर्टफोलियो देखने से कोई मीनिंगफुल कुछ होता नहीं है। अल्टीमेटली अनलेस आप कुछ बेचोगे या आप लोगे तो ही कुछ होगा, अदरवाइज सब नोशनल गेन्स हैं, और नोशनल प्रॉफिट लॉस से कुछ आना जाना नहीं है। और बड़े पोर्टफोलियो बनाने के लिए सालों साल लगते हैं, तो वो कोई वैसे आपका लॉन्ग टर्म शॉर्ट टर्म डिस्टर्ब करके एक दिन में आप बेच दो, ऊपर में बेच देंगे, नीचे में ले लेंगे, ये सब ट्रेडिंग मेंटेलिटी वाले लोग कभी भी स्टॉक मार्केट में बहुत बड़ी वेल्थ कभी क्रिएट कर नहीं पाए, और ना कभी कर पाते हैं। तो आपको अच्छा अलोकेशन रखना पड़ता है, और अच्छी कंपनीज के साथ में आपको लंबे समय तक रहना पड़ता है।
Right, Brajesh, very well said. And I'll come to you again by rotating the mic. So, Brajesh, very rightly said कि बड़ा पैसा आपको मार्केट में लंबे टाइम के लिए रुकने पे बनेगा, बट पैरेलल टू दैट देयर इज अ थॉट कि भाई अगर आपने प्रॉफिट सिक्योर नहीं किया तो उस मार्केट में सब बेकार। Everybody has their style or process. So, going to Suyog, क्या लग रहा है, like this correction was, I mean, everybody was anticipating this correction, but again, nobody believed. I mean, even if you talk about last week also, so nobody believed that this much brutal, right? So, how you had placed yourself, or going forward also, like how you are planning to go about investing, or maybe adding to the names, or maybe averaging up, or you had sold previously and still keeping cash? How exactly you are doing now? So you are still on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Prince, for the opportunity. I was on mute. Sorry. So, just now I have just posted about one chart which is self explanatory, and I've posted that on Twitter. So, if we see there, this is a lot of people, even SEBI, everyone are saying that euphoria, small caps are in euphoria, but I don't believe so. This chart was made 1.5 years back, 1 year back, and then that was posted on my YouTube channel also. This correction was much more needed. Having said that, index गिरा है 10%, but portfolios गिरे हैं 20% तक गिरे हैं कुछ कुछ portfolios. अभी having said that, last week of February there were clear indications कि trading से तो completely बाहर होना है. अभी इन्वेस्टिंग में तो आप तो इन आउट करते नहीं बैठेंगे ना, तो इट इज वेरी मच इम्पोर्टेंट दैट व्हाट यू योरसेल्फ पोजीशन एज. तो इन्वेस्टिंग में तो बल्कि मैं 20% कैश पे बैठा था व्हेन द ट्रेडिंग एग्जिट केम, स्टॉप लॉसेस जब हिट हो रहे थे. बट हैविंग सेड दैट 80% आई एम इन्वेस्टेड. अब थोड़ी आप इन आउट करते बैठेंगे. ट्रेडिंग पोर्टफोलियो तो कंप्लीटली स्टॉप आउट हुआ था. एंड I believe that this is not the end of, because suddenly क्या होता है अभी आप देखेंगे जैसी करेक्शन कुछ आता है, suddenly everybody starts talking about end of bull market, suddenly everyone talks about start of a new bull run. तो इतना जल्दी आसान नहीं होता है. This is a 3-4 year bull market which has started in 2021. कोविड को मैं नहीं बोलूंगा क्योंकि कोविड was a reset. If you go and check the chart which I have posted, we are in a phase where we were in 2004 to 2008, because 2004 to 2008 was the period of GDP expansion, and we are also at the current stage where where the GDP is expanding. So this is not going to be a, उसके पहले भी 2009 से 10 में एक स्मॉल कैप बुल रन आया था, 1.5 साल का था। 2013 से 17 तक आया था, दैट वाज आल्सो लेड बाय गुड मतलब इकोनॉमिक ग्रोथ। 2017-18 के बाद थोड़ा जीडीपी हर्ट हुआ था, तब के टाइम में स्मॉल कैप हर्ट हुआ था। यूजुअली स्मॉल कैप हर्ट होते हैं जब व्हेन द जीडीपी इज नॉट डूइंग वेल, एंड अभी जीडीपी अच्छा कर रहा है, एंड आई डोंट सी एनी ट्रबल्स फॉर द जीडीपी, क्योंकि साइकिल तो अभी स्टार्ट हुआ है। एंड आप अगर चार्ट देखोगे, सो दिस इज अ करेक्शन, नॉट द एंड ऑफ द स्मॉल कैप बुल मार्केट। अभी बहुत सारे फंड मैनेजर्स कैश पे बैठे हैं, दे विल बाय एट अपॉर्चुन टाइम्स एंड अपॉर्चुन वैल्यूएशंस। हैविंग सेड दैट, स्मॉल कैप में कुछ स्टॉक्स में फ्रॉड था, बट सेबी के एक स्टेटमेंट ने पूरा ये मतलब एटलीस्ट 3 मंथ्स का गेन तो स्मॉल कैप स्टॉक्स में से जो हुआ था वो कुछ 10 दिनों में चला गया। So this is what I feel, Prince. But I think जहाँ मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी हाई है, जहाँ वैल्यूएशन कंफर्ट है, आज आज बॉटम आउट हुआ है। मुझे ऐसे लगता है कल और आज में बॉटम आउट हुआ है मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी वाले स्टॉक्स में। बाकी का स्टॉक्स का मुझे पता नहीं, बट क्योंकि आई हैव बीन ऑब्जर्विंग दिस ओवर मल्टीपल साइकिल्स, जहाँ भी मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी हाई है, स्पेशली डीप वैल्यू में मैं बोलूंगा, जहाँ 100 की चीज आप 30-40 में ले रहे हो फ्रॉम अ वैल्यूएशन परस्पेक्टिव, वहाँ बॉटम आउट कल और आज में हो चुका है, ऐसे मुझे लग रहा है।
Right, Suyog. So going forward, like Suyog, you are talking about कि margin of safety जहाँ पे है वहाँ पे bottom बन रहा है और it appears to be like bottom is forming. So like how you will be like placing yourself? You said you are the trading account which is say 20% cash. So would you be deploying that money to the already invested 80% amount, or how you'll
So
wait
let
for
me
the
let me just tell you my approach. I have like 60% long term investing, 40% trading। 40% ट्रेडिंग में तो 60-70% में बाहर हो गया था, 30% स्टक हो गया है। नाउ आई एम वेरी बैडली स्टक देयर, 20-22% तक स्टॉक गिरे हैं ट्रेडिंग पोर्टफोलियो में। नाउ इट कम्स टू इन्वेस्टिंग पोर्टफोलियो, अभी आई वाज सिटिंग एट 20% कैश। तो उसमें से अभी कोई जल्दी नहीं है मुझे मतलब डालने की पैसा इमीडिएटली, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम विद डीप वैल्यू इज, इवन दो द वैल्यूएशंस आर बॉटम्ड आउट, ये टाइम करेक्शन में आपको मतलब सताए देगा। तो आई विल वेट फॉर द ट्रेंड चेंज, बिकॉज वैल्यूएशन तो बॉटम आउट हो गए हैं। तो इनिशियल मुझे जो एलोकेशन लेना था, समझिए, यूजुअली व्हाट आई डू इज, व्हेनेवर देयर इज हाई लेवल ऑफ मार्जिन ऑफ सेफ्टी इन वैल्यूएशंस, जो डिजायर्ड मेरा एलोकेशन है उतना ले लेता हूँ। बट मुझे ज्यादा बढ़ाना चाहिए क्या, आई एम नॉट डूइंग दैट अनलेस एंड अनटिल देयर इज अ क्लियर ट्रेंड चेंज ऑन स्टॉक्स। आई डोंट एवरेज ऑन द अपसाइड, मतलब आई डोंट एवरेज एक डिजायर्ड वैल्यूएशन, मतलब एक डिजायर्ड पोजीशन होने के बाद। सो दैट इज हाउ आई विल बी प्लेइंग गोइंग अहेड। वो अगर एक एक ट्रेंड चेंज अगर बताते मतलब प्ले आउट होते जाए, तो तब क्लियरली समझेगा कि यस बॉटम आउट हुआ है। अभी वैल्यूएशन बॉटम आउट हुआ है, प्राइस बॉटम आउट नहीं हुआ है।
fair point, Suyog. So we also have Wall Street. Amit, you can quickly keep your point, and you have been vocal about your gold and silver investment. So would like to hear around that also.
Hey, thank you, Prince. That's very true. आपने देखा होगा कि मैंने आपको एक ट्वीट शेयर किया था जहां पर गोल्ड और सिल्वर स्काई रॉकेटिंग, जहां पर द रीजन व्हाई आई एम टेलिंग दिस बिकॉज ये एक अपना जो इंडियन मार्केट है, इट इज नॉट सोली रनिंग बाय इटसेल्फ, इट इज रनिंग बेस्ड ऑन माइक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स, और ये सब देखना पड़ेगा क्या हो रहा है बोलकर। कीपिंग दैट इन माई माइंड, व्हाट इज करेंटली हैपनिंग हियर इज everybody are buying physical gold, not the paper gold. क्योंकि यू आई हैव टोल्ड सेवरल टाइम्स दी जो एलबीएमए के जो वॉल्ट्स है वहां पर गोल्ड और सिल्वर का, सिल्वर स्पेशली, गोल्ड तो उतना नहीं है मगर सिल्वर हैज गॉन डाउन रिकॉर्ड लेवल, मतलब परचेस करने के लिए है ही नहीं। एंड पीपल सी यूएस मार्केट और अटमोस्ट, जैसे आप एग्जांपल बॉन्ड्स देख लीजिए, ट्रेजरी बॉन्ड्स, जब कंट्रीज पे कंट्रीज ट्रेजरी बॉन्ड सेल करके दे आर गेटिंग बैक देयर करेंसीज, they want to strengthen their currencies. Indian market is far, far ahead and good as of today. And the most of the points they have told, in a bull, there is a pullback, which is a good. So, keeping in that mind, there should not be any shock that there's a bloodbath happening as of today. People are taking profit. It's the same thing, right? Where you have more greed, you need to be selling. When there is a lot of fear in the market, you should be buying. That's a simple tactic. आप यदि आप देखेंगे तो that is what exactly people needs to do, and exactly what I'm trying to do the same thing. In fact, I had invested in paper gold in US, but I sold it. Now I'm buying physical gold. Literally, I'm buying physical gold and physical silver because for one simple reason, ये asset ऊपर ही जाएगा. यदि कोई बोलेगा कि अब ये कम होगा, नीचे आएगा, ना 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 ना, ना ये कम होगा ना ये नीचे आएगा. just just take the actual depth what each and every country has, and take the first of all what China is doing and US is doing, उसका impact Indian market पे पड़ेगा. And more we see in terms of how the market will do. Keep an eye what will happen on April 1st. Guys, that will be a movement where liquidity इतना आएगा market के अंदर कि Indian market will boom. Why? Because it is T+0. Instant settlement होगा. Not instant settlement, my mistake. It's a T+0, same day. But 2025, April 1st, it's an instant settlement. Look at game changer what India is doing. It is the opportunity that currently Indian market has, ample amount of opportunities I see. And पेपर गोल्ड शॉर्ट नहीं कर सकते वो लोग. वो जितना शॉर्ट करेंगे उतना फिजिकल गोल्ड और फिजिकल सिल्वर विल बी टेकन आउट फ्रॉम द वॉट, एंड दे विल बी फोर्स्ड टू स्टॉप और हॉल्ट द स्पॉट मार्केट ऑफ द गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर. एंड द गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर एज ऑफ टुडे आप देखोगे, शंघाई और द गोल्ड प्राइस बिटवीन कॉमेक्स और शंघाई में डिफरेंस है. It is up in Shanghai, and when the COMEX is down, they are bringing back the price up actually, and they are discussing about it actually. ये आने वाला inflation नहीं होगा. It will be a depression what we will see across the world because the Western world will fall to its needs. ये होगा. This is my very firm belief. What is happening across the world, and this will bring lot of opportunity within Indian market. I think that's the right time. That's what my feelings, that's what my inputs are. Thank you, Prince.
Thanks, Amit. You're really helpful. We'll discuss more on gold and sugar. Meanwhile, let's have a quick input. So, Vipin ji, आपका कुछ input है? If you want to speak.
मैं अभी 10 मिनट का टाइम दीजिए सर, बट प्लीज
Right.
करिए.
Right. So, Vineet, over to you. Like, what do you feel? क्या लग रहा है? मतलब market तो यार बिल्कुल लगी हुई है बुरे तरीके से, और there is a mixed reaction that bottom is near, and people are saying this can maybe last even longer. And on the top of that, even if the valuations has bottomed out, the time correction is something which can be painful. So how you think like the market can pan out from here?
हाय फ्रेंड्स, यार सभी एक ही बोट में है. नोबडी इज spared by market. But हाँ, one thing which everybody should note, anybody who has seen 2007-8 का क्रैश या 14 का क्रैश या 18 का क्रैश, दे शुड रिमेम्बर के कुछ भी करेक्शन जो है वो मतलब ये जो 10 15 20 की करेक्शन है, दिस इज वेरी स्मॉल करेक्शन. अभी तो मतलब अगर करेक्शन आने पे हुई तो प्रोलॉन्ग्ड करेक्शन भी हो सकती है और डीप करेक्शन भी हो सकती है, कुछ पता नहीं होता है। एंड हमारा सिर्फ ये एम होना चाहिए कि भाई हम सेफ स्टॉक में बैठे हैं, हमारी पिटाई नहीं होनी चाहिए। बाकी तो किसी के पोर्टफोलियो में कुछ भी हो सकता है, बट देयर वाज ए टाइम इन 2018 व्हेन एवरीबॉडी थॉट के यार कितना ही नीचे जाएगा, आज बॉटम बन गया, पर अगले दिन फिर 3-4% डाउन, फिर अगले दिन फिर 3-4% डाउन, और ऐसे करते करते लोगों के पोर्टफोलियो 70-70, 80-80% डाउन हो गए थे 2018 में। पूरा मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप उठा ही नहीं, और उसके बाद फिर कोविड आ गया। सो जिन लोगों ने करेक्शंस नहीं देखी हैं एंड इट इज देयर फर्स्ट करेक्शन, प्लीज बी माइंडफुल। अगर आपको, आप चार्ट फॉलो करते हो, टेक्निकल फॉलो करते हो, एग्जिट अगर आ रही है तो चुपचाप ले लो, और जब एंट्री आएगी तो चुपचाप एंट्री ले लेना। अगर आप फंडामेंटल फॉलो करते हो, आपको कंफर्ट है अपने पोर्टफोलियो में, तो यार लेके बैठे रहो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है। आपको अगर विश्वास है अपनी कंपनी पे तो लेके बैठे रहो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, रिवाइवल आएगा तो हो जाएगा। लेकिन अगर आप किसी की टिप लेके काम करते हो, या आपको नॉलेज नहीं है ना टेक्निकल की ना फंडामेंटल की, तो फिर वेट मत करो किसी चीज का, फिर अपने पैसे बचा लो। क्योंकि एक बार पैसा उड़ गया ना, मान लो 50% पैसा उड़ गया, तो उसको रिकवरी के लिए फिर 100% रिटर्न चाहिए आपको। तो सभी से निवेदन है कि आपके पास जो भी स्टॉक्स हैं उनको एक बार पढ़ लें, देख लें, अगर नहीं समझ आ रही है तो एग्जिट ले लें, और अगर आ भी रही है समझ तो देख के चलें कि कहीं ये ना हो कि गलत स्टॉक में फंसे हुए हो, कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस हो उसके अंदर कुछ, या कुछ अकाउंटिंग फ्रॉड हो, और वहां पर पिटाई हो जाए बाद में, और वो चढ़े ही ना वापस रिकवरी में। ऐसे बहुत से केसेस होंगे। और कंसीडरिंग द न्यूज़ फ्लो, ऐसे बहुत से एसएमईज और बहुत से स्मॉल कैप्स होंगे जो वापस उठेंगे भी नहीं। हाँ, मैं एग्री करता हूँ कि अभी मार्केट में लिक्विडिटी कम है, एडवांस टैक्स की पेमेंट जा चुकी है, एंड कंसीडरिंग द रेगुलेटरी न्यूज़ फ्लो, लॉट ऑफ नेगेटिविटी इज देयर। बट कोई गारंटी नहीं है कि एफआईआई का पैसा आ जाएगा या एकदम से रिटेल के पास पैसा आ जाएगा मार्च अप्रैल में, कोई गारंटी नहीं है। आपको सिर्फ अपनी पोजीशन इस हिसाब से बना के रखनी है कि कल को आपका अपना अच्छा स्टॉक सस्ता मिले तो आपके पास पैसा होना चाहिए उसे उठाने के लिए। और अगर आपके पास कोई गंदा स्टॉक है तो उसको जल्दी से जल्दी निकाल के उसको कैश में कन्वर्ट करके ऐसे बैठ जाओ कि कोई अच्छा स्टॉक सस्ता दाम पे मिले तो मैं उसे उठा लूं। तो जस्ट फॉर ए डिस्क्लेमर, मेरे पास ऑलरेडी, मैंने आई थिंक लास्ट वीक सारे एसएमई, सारे स्मॉल कैप्स निकाल दिए थे। मेरे पास प्रॉक्सी कैश क्लोज टू अराउंड 25-30% पड़ा है, एंड आई एम रेडी टू डिप्लॉय इन वट एवर स्टॉक्स आई कैन आइडेंटिफाई। और मैं तो वेट कर रहा हूँ अच्छी पिटाई, और अगर लार्ज कैप में तो पिटाई हो ही नहीं रही जहां मुझे पैसा सेफ लगता है, तो वो भी अगर पिटाई हो जाती है तो देन इट इज ए डिफरेंट बॉल गेम ऑल टुगेदर फिर तो। एंड प्लस यार, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल हु हैव कम इन द मार्केट, दे हैव थॉट कि एसएमई और स्मॉल कैप और मिड कैप से पैसा बनाना बहुत आसान है। ऐसा नहीं होता है, इट इज यूजुअली ए वेरी स्किल्ड गेम। मैं तो मतलब पहले 10-15 साल ऑफ माई मार्केट में स्मॉल मिड कैप खेल भी नहीं पाता था, मुझे डर लगता था कि यार कहीं पैसा डूब ना जाए। और आज लोग बेबाक होके स्मॉल कैप में खेलते हैं, मिड कैप में खोलते हैं, उन्होंने पैसे भी इतने बना लिए हैं। सो वो हमेशा से स्किल्ड गेम रही है, जिनके पास टेक्निकल नो हाउ है, फंडामेंटल नो हाउ है। और जब वो इतना आसान हो जाता है तो लोग फंस जाते हैं, एंड एवेंचुअली वो होगा ही, वो होना ही है, वो तो सभी को पता था। बट कैसे होगा, क्या होगा, अब जब गिर रहा है ना तो लोग बार बार बफे के वॉरेन बफे के कोट देके कि हाँ भाई हम होल्ड कर सकते हैं, अपने अच्छे शेयर होल्ड कर सकते हैं। बट आपको पता है क्या अच्छा शेयर है ये? वो वॉरेन बफे के कोट के अंदर घुस के ना अपना पोर्टफोलियो घुसा देंगे सारा। सो ध्यान रखिए अपने पोर्टफोलियो का। बाकी स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप इज वेरी स्किल्ड गेम, इट हैज ऑलवेज बीन। Just because market was flushed with liquidity, it was easy money, and right now the liquidity is out of the system for the time being. तो ध्यान रखिए अपने पोर्टफोलियो का.
Right. Thanks, Vineet. And I can fairly, uh, recollect that there are certain people who are very gung ho about finding multi baggers, and there are 3-4 hours session talking about the multi baggers. So don't know how many multi baggers have remained after 3-4 days of this brutal volatility correction or whatever you may call, and going forward we can also see more of it. So Shekhar, I'll come to you. Vineet has some hurry, so we'll quickly hear out Vineet and then I'll come to Shekhar. So Vineet, what's your view on the current happenings and how you are placing yourself?
प्रिंस
Hi,
शायद.
hi, Prince. Can you hear me?
हाँ किस अच्छा हाँ.
Yes, Vineet.
Hi, the other
Okay.
Vineet.
Okay. Yeah.
No, no, no problem. You can hear me, right?
Yes, go ahead.
हाँ हाँ मेरा व्यू यार इसमें थोड़ा सा from what Vineet said, it's slightly different. Well, not different exactly, but I think context हल्का सा अलग होगा. And I will speak from my perspective for people who have a टाइम होराइजन ऑफ मीडियम टू लॉन्ग टर्म. अगर आपका एक्सट्रीमली शॉर्ट टर्म होराइजन है तो नो व्यू इज वैलिड. मेरा व्यू या किसी का भी व्यू वैलिड नहीं होगा बिकॉज नोबडी नोज व्हाट्स गोइंग टू हैपन इन द इमीडिएट टर्म. पर मेरे हिसाब से ये जो जिस प्रकार से वॉलेटिलिटी हुई है, ऑब्वियसली दिस इज अ लॉट मोर देन मोस्ट ऑफ अस एंटिसिपेटेड. करेक्शन की वेट तो हम सब कर ही रहे थे काफी समय से. इतना ब्रूटल करेक्शन आएगा एंड अक्रॉस द बोर्ड करेक्शन आएगा, इसकी एंटिसिपेशन शायद किसी भी ने भी नहीं की थी, एटलीस्ट टू दिस एक्सटेंट. एंड लाइक यू नो प्रिंस, आई एम वन ऑफ दोज पीपल जो बहुत ज्यादा कैश मैं नहीं रखता हूँ एट एनी पॉइंट इन टाइम. आई बिलीव इन ट्राइंग टू बी क्लोज टू फुल्ली इन्वेस्टेड. 5-7% कैश आता रहता है, ऑब्वियसली रेगुलर कैश फ्लो फ्रॉम दी सैलरी कीप कमिंग इन. कभी कभी हो जाता है थोड़ा कैश, बट आई एम नेवर इन अ पोजिशन टू हैव मोर देन let's say double digit percentage in cash at any point in time. That's just not what I do. The reason is I think it's very difficult to take a macro market level call. और अभी जिस प्रकार का करेक्शन आया है, इसकी कॉल्स तो हम ऑलमोस्ट एक साल से सुन ही रहे हैं, राइट? इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू नो एग्जैक्टली व्हेन दैट इज गोइंग टू हैपन, व्हिच इज व्हाई I as a principal stay away from trying to take broad market level calls. That said, विनीत इज एब्सोल्युटली राइट. एंड जो प्रीवियस स्पीकर्स भी थे कि बहुत सारी एसएमईज में एंड काफी सारे स्मॉल कैप्स में भी जिस प्रकार से रन अप आया था विदाउट फंडामेंटल बैकिंग, स्टोरिफिकेशन काफी ज्यादा हो चुकी थी. ये जो नया मेट्रिक हमने देखा था ना, ऑर्डर बुक बेस्ड इन्वेस्टिंग एंड ऑर्डर बुक टू मार्केट कैप एंड all of these kind of things, these are typical of extreme positive sentiment, and this has happened so many times in the past. And we've all at least some of us who've been around in the markets for reasonably long, हमने ये सब देखा है in the past. That said, ये जो current fall है, मेरे हिसाब से the reason it's been this brutal is not fundamental but purely liquidity. And liquidity is largely transient. लिक्विडिटी कभी परमानेंस में नहीं होती है. अभी इन द इमीडिएट टर्म लिक्विडिटी की शॉर्टेज है, और ये कब तक रहेगी शॉर्टेज वी डोंट नो. बट आई डोंट थिंक एनीथिंग हैज चेंज्ड फ्रॉम अ बिजनेस point of view for companies that are good. And my definition of a good company at all points in time in any market scenario, investment worthy companies will be a cash rich company which has intrinsically high ROEs, return on equity उस business के high हो, and वो reasonable valuation पे भी available हो, and उसके in the next 6 to 12 months at least clear मुझे growth triggers दिख रहे हो. तो अगर ये चार मेरे क्राइटेरिया सेटिस्फाई हो रहे हैं, कैश रिच विच इज लो डेट, प्रेफरेबली कैश ऑन बुक्स, हाई ROE, growth triggers in the next 6 to 12 months, and reasonable valuations, I am very happy to buy even now. क्योंकि जो बॉटम है उसको प्रेडिक्ट कर पाना मेरे लिए बहुत मुश्किल है. हो सकता है ये करेक्शन कुछ दिन चले, हो सकता है ये रिवर्सल आ जाए बहुत जल्दी, आई डोंट नो. So my strategy is to keep deploying some amount of the extra cash that I have on every day where there is a major fall. तो पिछले 3 या 4 दिनों में मैं थोड़ा थोड़ा करके मेरी existing positions को ही add कर रहा हूँ. I'm not trying to go ahead and create any new positions. बिल्कुल भी speculation से जितना दूर आप रह सकते हो उतना आपको रहना चाहिए. जो कंपनीज आपने अच्छे से पढ़ी है, विच यू हेल्ड फॉर सम टाइम, विच यू अंडरस्टैंड, जिनके आपने कॉन कॉल्स देखे हैं ओवर ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, जिनकी आपने एनुअल रिपोर्ट्स पढ़ी है, जहाँ पे आपको कॉन्फिडेंस है कि ये 4 बेसिक पैरामीटर्स मीट हो रहे हैं, वहां पर आप आई थिंक धीरे धीरे डिप्लॉय कर सकते हैं फंड्स. It's completely possible that this correction will go on for some more time. It's completely possible that things will reverse very quickly. There's no way of calling it. And I think the reason for the speed of this fall, largely आप देखेंगे कि जो companies गिरी है, these are all largely small caps, right? Small caps पे intrinsically float कम होता है, और काफी सारा float बहुत सारे HNIs ने कॉर्नर कर लिया था. एंड जिस प्रकार से लेवरेजिंग हुई थी अपने मार्केट में ओवर द लास्ट 6 to 8 months, वो लेवरेजिंग बहुत हाई थी. तो अब जब वो लेवरेजिंग अनवाइंड हो रही है, अब स्टॉक प्राइसेस गिर रहे हैं, लोगों ने अपने शेयर्स प्लेज करके और पैसे उठाए मार्केट से और उसको री इन्वेस्ट किया है. अब उन लोगों को मार्जिन कॉल आ रहे हैं, और जब उनको मार्जिन कॉल आएंगे वो फिर से आके स्टॉक्स अपने बेचेंगे, वो स्टॉक प्राइसेस और ज्यादा गिरेंगे. बट अक्रॉस द बोर्ड आप देखोगे तो वॉल्यूम्स हैव नॉट रियली स्पाइक्ड इन अ वेरी लार्ज वे इन मोस्ट कंपनीज. तो ये सारे लो वॉल्यूम फॉल्स आई है. ऑफ कोर्स येस्टरडे वाज अ स्लाइट एक्सेप्शन जब हल्की सी वॉल्यूम बढ़ भी गई थी. एंड दीज आर यूजुअली ऐसे कैपिटुलेशन मार्केट में जब वॉल्यूम स्पाइक आती है, दैट्स टिपिकली एन इंडिकेटर दैट द एंड इज नॉट टू फार अवे फॉर द फॉल. So yeah, that's the long and short of it. That for me personally, the strategy is the companies that I am confident of, जहां मुझे वैल्यू दिख रही है, मुझे ग्रोथ ट्रिगर दिख रहे हैं. आई नो दोस कंपनीज आर कैश रिच. आई थिंक अगर वो इंट्रिंसिकली बिजनेस हाई आरओई जनरेटिव है और बिजनेस फंडामेंटल में कोई चेंज नहीं आया है, आई एम वेरी हैप्पी टू कीप डिप्लॉइंग some amount of funds on every large fall till such time as my money runs out. And in fact, once my money runs out, I will then continue to consolidate my portfolio. So currently मेरे पास about 14-15 positions है. My portfolio is public, like it's pinned to my Twitter handle. Till about this time last week I had about 17 positions. तो जो मेरी टेल की 2 या 3 पोजीशंस थी, जहां मेरा एलोकेशन भी कम था, शायद कन्विक्शन कम था, टू अ सर्टेन एक्सटेंट वो स्पेकुलेटिव थी, slightly more of a trading bet than an investment bet, उनको मैंने liquidate करके I have started moving money back into my core positions and concentrating the top 7-8 positions. And that's what my strategy will be as long as the fall keeps happening. अगर market और गिरेगा, I will keep trimming the bottom end of my portfolio, but I will not sit on the cash. I will, over a period of time, quickly keep adding that money back to my highest conviction bets, most cash rich, highest ROE, highest growth prospects, and best valuation bets. So
Fair point, Vinita. And I must say, like, whenever we talk about our process, if it has clarity, so definitely over a period of time it shall do good. So moving on to our next speaker, Shekhar. Shekhar, hi, long time. How are you, man? So
Hey, hi, Prince. Can you hear me okay?
yes, Shekhar. Good to see you again, yeah. So,
Yeah.
Shekhar, like topic or the discussion is clear. So, what you see is happening, and what could be the possible reasons for you? And going forward, also, like, do you see that it will be a slow recovery, or you believe that, as happened in the past, it would be a V-shaped recovery kind of thing? How you are placing yourself?
Yeah. Well, I think between Vineet and Vineet, I was listening to both of them. Wonderful summary. I think they probably covered 90% of what most of us might be thinking right now, right? So in that sense, I think the only few additional points that I was considering looking at my own portfolio and also talking to some of the good investors. I think, but one point that I would want to start off with is, for example, I think most of us kind of anticipating the correction in some form and shape. The only question that some of us had was, would this correction happen before the elections or would it happen after the elections? That was the only confusion. At least personally for me, I was anticipating that some of this may start in February. And hence when, February, if you remember, I think there were 2 days or 2.5 days when there was some sort of a minor fall. So I personally thought that's probably going to trigger. But obviously it didn't happen. By the third day, it started going back up and then again gave another good run for next week and a half. So honestly, that kind of blindsided me. I thought, okay, now it's done. Correction to abhi elections results ke baad hi aayega. So I was fully invested, just like I think the second Vinith. So obviously it's caught us off guard, especially the kind of fall that we had seen, today. But to be honest, right, a week ago, if someone had told us, hey, look, some of these names are going to be available at so and so discount, would you be interested? I'm pretty sure most of us would have raised our hands, because the way we were perceiving some of these names was entirely different. Right? So we were looking at most of these names with economics in mind, with the growth in mind, with visibility of earnings in mind. Whereas right now we are looking at most of these names with hey, they have broken the technicals. Most of them are below 200 DMA. And when I say most, probably I'm referring to small caps and mid caps and micro caps. And hence, once 200 DMA is broken, it's not so easy. So I think the way we are looking at the names are entirely different. So which is where I'll kind of align with some of the points that Vinith had mentioned, which is, it comes down to the specific names that we have. So from that perspective, when we look at, the 2018 or even before corrections, and right now where we are, I think economically or fundamentally or business point of view, I don't really see any downside right now, right? I mean, our economy is doing much better. Our clarity of the growth for the businesses is a lot more clearer and visible compared to where we were a few years ago. And hence, if we have a name that we have a good fundamental visibility, I would see this as an opportunity than worrying about. However, the fact that the liquidity crunch is going to be there for probably next couple of weeks, at least. And after that, what is going to happen? Obviously, I mean, none of us know, right? Beyond a point, none of us know. But I think what I'm doing is I typically maintain 10 to 15% cash. Usually, some of it comes through the savings in the salary, and some of it comes through because I kind of churn my portfolio once in a while. So fortunately, I have that sort of a flexibility now. I would have loved to have 25%, 30% cash, but again, so that said, I think if we look at the fundamentals, I mean, like Vinith said, there's no change anywhere. So why should I be so worried if it fell? So if I have the opportunity, I probably top up. But at the same time, there is a dumping of SMEs for whatever right or wrong reasons. And then most of the SMEs, the headache is for the SMEs, you don't get to see the Q3 results, and hence we don't even know what is going to show up on Q4 other than few assumptions. I think that's also probably playing on the mind of the some of the investors who are probably the first timers in the SME space. So maybe that sort of a retail dumping is also happening there. But I think I'm just sticking to the names that I believe in, especially sectors. I'm primarily focused more towards renewables and pharma, and a few leaders in the real estate space and technology, which is what typically I understand. So I'm sticking to it. I cleaned up my bottom 3 positions between yesterday and today. So I have some cash, which is added to the other 8-10% I used to have. So I'm planning to deploy this over the next few days, including today. Today also I added some to my top positions. I think it will be a crime not to add incremental cash to some of the top conviction positions, especially when they're available at this kind of levels. Because what is going to happen is down the line, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, in hindsight, we will say, you know what, I should have done that day, yaar. Kya din tha, we missed it. So that's where I am, Prince. I don't think we need to rush into buying it because, SME and micro caps, typically what happens is momentum takes the price up most often than not. So once the momentum is gone, it's not going to be that easy. So if a good chunk of us are, micro cap or SME investors, we shouldn't buy them just because they've fallen, 30, 40%. We need to make sure that we have that visibility of where the earnings are genuinely visible versus where we are speculating that it will be there. And stick to the names where there is a better visibility. Those are the names who eventually will find the momentum, and the rest of them, many a times they don't recover. So we don't want to be get stuck in those. So that's my 2 cents.
Thanks, Shekhar. Really helpful. And once I go to each speaker, once I'll come again to the speakers because the pipeline is long, so there has to be some weight on that part. So, Ravindra Bhandari, you're also there. So, क्या लग रहा है यार? Like, although you have been listening, so you have the context at hand. So basically, क्या लग रहा है? Or going forward, also how you see things panning out from here. And then after one round, I'll take questions from the audience as well.
Thanks, Prince. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, yes.
As apne na off late, I'm coming very little occasion. I'm coming on discussion, but I remember अपने January end या February में एक किए थे. I was pointing to one data point, the research which we have done. If you compare last 12, 13 years Nifty performance and Nifty small cap performance, whenever small cap has delivered 30-35% return or higher, the next subsequent return was subdued. Out of 13 occasions, there was 4 occasions the average return was 35%, and next year it was might be negative or something like that. Last year, last calendar year, the performance of small cap was 47-48%. That is one data point. Another data point is if you take the average of last 13 years closing of the calendar year, price book of Nifty 50 used to be 3.4, and small cap universe used to be about 3, 2.9 or 3. It was about 15% discount to the large cap. Now what has happened toward the close of calendar 23, the small cap was trading at somewhere around 15-16% kind of premium to the large cap. That is the reason I'm quoting for many times, sometimes in Twitter and anything, that there is not some, there is a large discrepancy which is happening on the small cap universe side. I also mentioned on Twitter, few of the things which we saw was happening in the month of January. मार्केट कैप 35,000 करोड़ है, उसका फ्री फ्लोट 700 करोड़ है, एक दिन में उसका ट्रेडिंग 1,000 करोड़ का हो रहा था विद इन द मंथ ऑफ जनवरी. दैट वाज काइंड ऑफ ब्लाइंड यूफोरिया वी वर फॉलोइंग in the PSUs where the float is very limited. Prince, आवाज आ रही है ना?
Yeah, Arya, it was breaking some time ago, but I think it's fine now. You can continue.
So what has happened in the month of January, towards the end of January or beginning of February, there were every day. होता क्या है? If you track say Nifty 500 and you just on a money control also, you just go and see which is the most active traded volume wise में तो अपने को वो सब दिखता है, सुजलॉन दिखेगा और वोडाफोन आइडिया दिखेगा, but value wise if you go, normally you will find Infosys, HDFC Bank, इस टाइप के रहेंगे, स्टेट बैंक ऑफ इंडिया. इन द मंथ ऑफ जनवरी टुवर्ड्स द एंड उसमें आईआरएफसी सबसे टॉप में ट्रेड करता है, उसमें आईटीआई इज अबव द रिलायंस ट्रेडिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ वैल्यू. I pointed out at least 3-4 times towards the end of January that this is something it's gone to a different kind of extreme level, which we haven't seen in last many years. I don't remember it was applicable even for the 2018 mid cap run. Then मेरे को there are so many speaker who have seen the market. आज तक मेरे को याद नहीं है जहाँ पे सेबी वाला पर्सन आके बोलता है कि यूफोरिया फटने के बाद वो लोग आते हैं, कभी भी पहले नहीं आए. So the kind of madness is there on the S&P space now. It's kind of, it's very difficult to say कि ये we have seen the worst or anything. I think एक तो month of March है, there will be lot of closure for MTF book and everything. People should wait for at least for the month of March, and if you are sitting on cash, dabble with the large cap. Don't go with the small cap. हुआ क्या है ना, अपने लास्ट ये 1.5 साल 2 साल के साइकिल में से आप ना HDFC बैंक या जो लार्जर यूनिवर्स है ना, उसमें आप कोई नया स्टोरी पेंट नहीं कर सकते. लेकिन जो कंपनीज जिसने 15 साल में कभी नहीं परफॉर्म किया, वो एक वाइट कैनवस है. वहां पे आप टर्न अराउंड, एनसीएलटी, एक्विजिशन, न्यू इन्वेस्टर, बहुत सारा वैसा स्टोरीज फ्लोट हुआ. And if you compare whatever valuation they have traded before, say 2021, that doesn't have any kind of risk or what they are doing right now. एक दो बार मैंने कोट किया था कि रेलवे स्टॉक अगर इतने चल रहे हैं तो रेलवे इंडिया में बियरिंग खाली दो ही कंपनी बनाती है, टिमकेन और एसकेएफ है, वो एकदम नहीं चल रहा। सो इस टाइप का डिकोटमी जो था ना वो मार्केट में बहुत एक्सेसिव है कि अगर आप याद करो 2018-19 पूरा सीवी सेगमेंट का मार्केट कैप ओईएम का 70 अगर मैं ये बोलूं आज के दिन के रोड से ट्रांसपोर्ट रेल की तरफ मूव करेगा, then why the market cap of the CV segment is above 2 lakh crore? So there is huge amount of euphoria and story building which is happening. It doesn't unwind in a week's time. Market people was okay. It will unwind post election because going in a somber mood, voting at time is not good. So you need maybe large cap will recover very fast. Again, all time high touch कर जाएगा. बट माइक्रो कैप जो है ना यूनिवर्स उसमें बहुत बहुत आई थिंक वी शुड वेट एंड आई एम होल्डिंग अबाउट 15-18%. That's the ideal situation. Otherwise, if we are fully invested, it will be you should wait at least towards the closure of March because MTF book unwind होते हैं 15th मार्च के बाद. फिर लोग एडवांस टैक्स के लिए सेलिंग करते हैं. There is huge implication in terms of closure of the books. So वो सारे एक्टिविटी अभी लास्ट 15 days में होंगी. Besides that, you stick with the name where you have clarity. So don't be too much adventurous in this market. There was enough sign I would say, starting from the month of January and February. When all those their volume was so high that it was even higher than HDFC बैंक. एक बैंक जिसका मार्केट कैप 12 लाख करोड़ है और साइड में उसका फ्री फ्लोट पूरा का पूरा है, उसके अगेंस्ट पे आप कोई भी कंपनी जिसका 50, 30, 40 हजार करोड़ मार्केट कैप होता है, उसका ट्रेडिंग वैल्यू वाइज में उसका होता है. So that was insanity which was happening. For last 10 days, that is not there. If you go to money control, now you will see whatever is the large cap with the largest float, which is the largest weight on the indexes, they are the highest value trader. But February में भी ये कंटिन्यू हुआ था काफी काफी हद तक. I think now at least on the large cap with sanity is there. Among the smaller companies, wherever there is newly story built, you have to watch out. एक ये भी होता है सिंस वी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट सेटिंग ऑन कैश कि जो बेयर मार्केट का साइकिल होता है ना वो बहुत शॉर्ट होता है. आपका एक महीने में पूरा आंखों से पसीना निकल जाएगा. सो बेयर मार्केट का साइकिल लंबा नहीं हो सकता. बुल मार्केट 1-1.5 साल चलता है, बेयर मार्केट 1-1.5 महीने में पूरा पसीना निकल जाता है. एंड विद दिस काइंड ऑफ सिवियरिटी इट विल बी इवन अ मंथ विल बी अ वेरी लॉन्ग पीरियड. So, but I would suggest that at least wait out for the March. Maybe you have to buy for 10% higher, but that's okay.
Right, Ravi. Thank you for your inputs. So we also got Rajiv Agrawal sir with us. So would love to hear out his thoughts. Lately, we had one session with wherein we discussed the risk and opportunity. So definitely most of it was covered in that session. But again, would love to hear from him, like how he's seeing this correction and going forward also. Like it would be like as others are saying that it will subside in a shorter period of time, or do you see any structural change in the market? So
Thanks, Prince. Very timely session, Prince, as usual. So I think typically my experience has been that these type of corrections come all of a sudden. A lot of people have been talking about it, but there is never a good reason or a bad reason for these corrections. Clearly, small cap, mid cap were very, very bullish, and as the previous speaker was saying, there was a lot of euphoria, like how we were discussing in our previous session, Prince. My view is that stock investing is all about bottom up stock picking, right? So if you liked a stock yesterday or a week from now, you should be even more excited about it today because now the prices have gone down. So frankly, there are people who panic when the prices fall. Uh, but if you have the right mindset, I personally think you should be getting more excited. But you can't be getting more excited about the market. You have to be getting more excited about the stocks that you understand. And this is the key thing. Everybody wants to talk about the latest stock that is doing well, whether you understand it or you don't understand it. My view is if you don't understand the stock, situations like what we are experiencing now will shake you up, and you will actually do exactly what you would not do if you knew the stocks well. So I always feel, and especially in a down market like what we experienced today, that people will get shaken out because they don't understand the stock. And investing is all about not the stock, but the business. And unfortunately, too many people are in too much of a hurry to make money, like we were discussing last time. And they don't spend enough time understanding the business and the management. And then when correction comes, and we don't know whether this correction is a day, a week, a month, or longer. We can't say that. Uh, I do think that given what SEBI is saying and the stress test, it is quite possible some of the mutual funds are selling big time, and that may take some time just because of the liquidity in the stocks. So there is always a risk that this goes on for some time. Definitely, we cannot rule that out. But from an investing perspective, I think a short-term correction or even a medium-term correction is an opportunity for one to buy companies that you really like. So I don't feel at all any concerns around the short-term correction in the portfolios going down. In fact, I think it is a perfect opportunity for one to buy companies at a discounted price if you understand what the valuation of your companies should be in the normalized course of business. Because interestingly enough, if you think about today's correction or this week's correction, let's call it, from a business perspective, nothing has changed. There is no change whatsoever in, like, no new data point has come which tells us that the businesses should be worth less, right? If anything, the recent Q3 or Q3 GDP report was 8% plus, and now we are talking about an 8% growth rate in the economy. So, if you're thinking about the economy, thinking about how the businesses should do, you are saying, well, companies should continue to do well because the economy has a lot of momentum. If the economy has a lot of momentum, your companies has a good amount of momentum, and the prices are cheaper. Guess what you should do? So to me, I think it's an opportunity, and I always tell my investors that volatility is one of the best things, one of the biggest advantages or the biggest friends of a long-term investor. And it is this volatility which creates opportunities for us to buy good companies at good prices and then own for a meaningful period. And I think today is just one example where if we are disciplined in our thinking, I think we can take advantage of it.
Fair point, Rajiv sir. But a follow-up question on that, like, say you are saying that if there is a correction, that is indeed good for the company you have studied. But again, when to add, right? Because say if it is 10% down and you believe that it is greater value as you have bought 10% up, right? So going forward, there could be potentially more what we say correction down the line. So in that case, how one should position oneself in further averaging down in those companies? And on the top of that, like, any thoughts around the electoral bond thing, which could be a possible reason of one this correction, and then I'll take views from other speakers also. Yeah, Rajiv sir.
Sure. So, in terms of when to add, I think nobody really knows where the bottom is, right? And so, in situations like this, at least my approach has been to keep adding gradually. You don't want to add in one big chunk the whole amount because, very frankly, the markets can keep going down and then you have nothing to do and you are sitting on the sidelines and actually having people losses. So my approach in situations like this is to keep adding. I definitely do not subscribe to the view that one should wait for some new signal that will come because, frankly, we will never know when that signal will come. It will only be known in hindsight whether it was a bottom or not. And when you have such big falls, guess what? Volume increases, and so your opportunity to buy companies and stocks that you were keen to buy, you have more opportunities to buy, right? So uh, to answer your question, my view is you should add gradually. You should not put all your money in suddenly, but at the same time, you should not keep waiting and waiting unless some signal comes in, because frankly, I don't know what that signal will be. So add gradually, ensure that you have the buying power so that if it falls further, and account for the fact that it can fall another 5, 10, 15% for no apparent reason other than clearly that SEBI is putting a lot of pressure on mutual funds. And so the liquidity could be a problem for some funds where the stress test may not look as what SEBI would want. And so they may be actually liquidating positions which may not meet that test. So that is absolutely possible. But add gradually is what I will say. Um, and then the second question, sorry, Prince, I forgot. What was the second question?
Yeah, electoral bond thing which has
Yeah.
been doing rounds.
Yeah, so electoral bonds thing, actually, frankly, I have no idea what that will lead to. There is obviously a lot of speculation about what that may mean. Um, but my feeling on days like this is that narratives come after after the stock has fallen, and then people say, "Oh, because of X, because of Y, the prices have come down," right? And all we have to do is watch various channels to know, what all the other various theories. My view is electoral bonds, from what I saw earlier, there was certain distribution of electoral bonds across political parties, but it wasn't like it was very skewed. So, if anything, if there is anything negative, it may impact all parties rather than just one party. And so, I don't think, at least based on what I know so far, doesn't look like it should be a big thing. But of course, I don't know, like just like anybody else. So I think we will just have to wait for more information before we make any decisions around that.
All right, so thank you. I'll come to you again. So Suyog, you have a few additions on the gold and silver thing, and especially the mining space. You can speak about that, and then I'll go to Shekhar and Amit, and come again to Ravi and Rajiv. So yeah, Suyog, over to you. You're still on mute, Suyog.
Thank you, Prince, for giving me an opportunity once again. So, Mr. Wall Street said that about silver and gold. So, I had a similar view on gold and silver. If you look at gold and silver, they are best placed. If you look at usually I do this activity, do a ratio chart of precious metals, gold plus silver divided by Nifty or small cap. Just 8 days back or 10 days back, it was very clear that the risk reward in small caps and Nifty was least available. But the risk reward in gold and silver was highly rational. Risk reward was highly favorable. Having said that, this is not a trading view for say, because I believe at this moment, a lot of people are equity investors. I am also an equity investor, invested large. But having said that, gold and silver, I believe are at that juncture that might surprise many. I've been saying that it is gold and silver at that place where we saw a similar type of a bull run from 2004 to 2008. So this has just started. That is what my belief is. So ऐसा कोई fixated mindset नहीं है कि because I'm opportunistic कि equities ही लेना है. Having some gold plus silver, precious metals in your portfolio still can, gold is working like a hedge, but gold plus silver can help you outperform overall in this space. And this is in means, the way Mr. Wall Street has explained during the last thing. We are at a position where world is very fragile, and many things can get broken. So from that perspective, also one should look at gold. And apart from that, if I want to look at the equities, the companies which are mining gold or silver, both these companies will have a high level of operating leverage, because 20% rise in gold might lead to 50 to 60% rise in profits of gold mining companies or silver. The same is the case with silver. So there are silver miners available in US. There are gold miners which are available in US. In fact, there is a mutual fund which is available in India. One should look at that because one should study at that. A lot of people say that mutual funds में equity direct equity investor जो होता है वो usually mutual fund से दूर रहता है. But I believe म्यूचुअल फंड्स में भी आप अगर प्रॉपर अपॉर्चुनिटी ढूंढ पाए सेक्टोरियल बेट्स में, still it can give you the needed, what we say, needed
Suyog, we lost you. I cannot hear you. Can you check your connection? So meanwhile, quickly, Shekhar, do you have any view on gold and silver and the electoral bond thing? Meanwhile, we check with Suyog.
Again, nobody. I mean, that's not even my cup of tea. Uh, I think the only point that I could little bit understood, which kind of agree with what Yoga was saying, is uh, the silver is. I mean, gold part I don't know as much, but based on some of the conversations that I've heard from friends of mine who kind of track that space, they were telling me that silver should do well for the next few years. But other than that hearsay information, I'm not an SME, not even remotely.
Thanks, Shekhar. So Rajiv sir, okay, Amit, I'll come to you after Rajiv. So Rajiv, gold and silver. So do you buy the conversation which happened? Do you believe there is value available, or do you have any differing views on that?
Gold and silver, frankly, you know, I don't have a lot of my own insight, but I will tell you how Warren Buffett in the past has talked about gold and silver. And I think the point is that the value of gold and silver is dependent on demand and supply, but it's not necessarily a productive asset. And so I think one could think about having some amount of gold and silver just as a additional layer of support in case the all the economies continue to have high inflation, because hopefully in that case your cash value keeps coming down but the value of gold and silver will go up. But I am of the opinion that it should be only a very small proportion of your portfolio, and that is for a world where things start falling apart, right? And in that situation, one could have some. Personally, for me, way back when I bought a little bit of sovereign gold bond, and that's that. Haven't really done anything after that. And if anything, I would say a better way of taking exposure is if you can buy some gold miners so that you can have a company which will actually be producing an asset that can go up while the gold value also goes up, and that I would say would be a better exposure. But I haven't really seen any company in India. Though I look at US, I haven't really been it has not been obvious to me which gold company would do well, and so I haven't done much, and so to that extent would not have too much of an insight.
Thank you, sir. I will come to you again when time warrants. So, Amit, quickly, like you have any inputs as you have raised your hand, please go ahead.
Definitely, Prince. So my point is this: I have very different view. I come from different background, as you know. I am into crypto and blockchain. One thing which real use case when it comes to blockchain, everybody knows we are going to, towards blockchain, and world is moving towards that. We have seen that happening already. From Saudi to China, they are moving into Mbridge, and they are not depending on US dollar. Now, what is happening currently is, yes, the paper gold will not go, it will not work because people are moving towards physical gold and silver. That's the reason I told the water is getting drained away. The point now, what I'm trying to make here is the real world asset tokenization. Now, the problem in India or across the world is tokenization. When we start tokenizing, what I meant is you're actually trying to invest on a property as a partial, as a fraction of reserve. You can put your on a property to make this one. You can purchase a property, but not whole property, but a fraction of reserve of a property. In the same way, gold. My intention is very simple. bring up a market in India where rather going to Muthoot Finance or other vendors or banks, I'm targeting banks very specifically. Banks not to hold our gold, but to tokenize them and bring the revenue or asset which you hold asset, bring the revenue out of it actually to the normal public. And imagine how much of amount of gold Indian household hold. It is not just India, it is even including China. And in fact, I had put out a video where the New Year of Chinese Day, 800K people went, and in fraction of, in 2 3 hours, they purchased all the gold. In fact, China Reserve Bank is actually telling their people to buy gold. No, they are hedging against, mean they want the people to buy gold. I want this market to boom where real estate, I'm talking about not just that, real estate, gold, and I'm talking real world assets. Imagine how much of properties, how much of gold we have, liquidity. Once they start getting tokenized, and I'm not talking like it might happen, it might not happen. No, 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 no. It is something which people are looking at by 2025, 2026. By 2030, you will see this market will be more matured. I'm talking about gold is a $10 trillion market. Why are we ignoring it actually? A property. Look at about derivatives. Look at about, you take bonds, you take government bonds. I'm talking about tokenizing government bonds. It will bring a liquidity. It is in trillions of dollar. I'm not even talking trillions. It is in quadrillions of market. It is something which will make every damn Indian rich. This is something I'm talking about. What we have, World Wide Web bubble, where certain companies which are not doing good, they went off, but there are certain companies who did good are in trillions of dollar. I'm looking out that opportunity which is coming up front of our eyes. It is happening. They are building these rails. They are building this infrastructure. They will bring this into our market, because India and China, you take any countries which are buying, we just ask why reserve central banks are buying gold. They are not buying Bitcoin. They are not buying anything. They are buying gold and silver. In 2022, again, I'm putting out this actually. In Reserve Bank of India brought record level of silver. This is not I am making out actually. I want our currency to be pegged with gold. It is not speculative. I want Indian rupees to go high in value, in strength. I think that is coming. As I see, this is a very broad market, and trillions of dollar will pour into this actually. And this is not something which is stick to the one country. When I'm talking blockchain, guys, this is across the world. Anybody, it's a DeFi. We
Right,
will
Amit.
not be restricted with the Indian market. We can expose to any other which we want to purchase. That's what I want to tell Prince. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. So quickly, Suyog, you were dropped in between. You can complete, and then we have many speakers at hand. So apologies to our speakers who are not getting enough time, but again, we are many today. So yeah, Suyog, quickly you can summarize your
So
part, and then we go to.
yeah, yeah. So where was I? Where did it
I
get
mean, you
cut?
were talking about the silver and gold mining companies, and you were concluding, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay, okay. So silver and gold mining companies, as Mr. Wall Street also said, that that bull run, we are at that stage where 2004 to 2008 precious metal bull run happened. So one can look at silver mining companies in US and gold mining companies in US. In fact, there is a mutual fund which allows Indians to invest into US gold mining companies, because there is a leverage play. There is a special session which is made up with which I made with Mr. Sahil Kapoor of DSP Gold Fund, means DSP mutual fund, and that is available on my YouTube channel. So that gives us the insight about why all countries are buying gold. They are especially China, India, in as he also said about silver. Also, India has done record levels of accumulation of silver. So all these bodes well, and in fact, when if one looks at Nifty versus precious metal ratio chart, Nifty versus gold, small cap versus precious metal ratio chart, one will clearly understand that risk reward lies in precious metals more than small caps and Nifty. Having said that, the, I'm such an investor who will invest majority part of the investment into bottom up ideas, but also I'm opportunistic at some point of time in some part of my portfolio. So I look at gold and silver mining companies as an opportunity. So I feel that there is a decadal opportunity there. Nothing should be considered as an investment advice, but the way if gold mining, if silver or gold goes up 20%, the profits of the companies will might go up 50-60%. That is clear logic. So from that perspective, one should look at gold and silver. That is what I wanted to say, Prince.
Thank you, Suyog. So, Vipinji, if you got free, you can speak, else we go to next speakers. So, shall we? Okay. So, next is Trendonomics, Harsh. So, Harsh, quickly, you can unmute and keep your limited view so that we can also go to other speakers and complete our one round, and then we take questions, and then we go to Aditya. Quickly, yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Prince Bhai. So I'll come to gold and silver. So I think yes, gold and silver is a good investment going ahead. We are already bought gold. I don't buy paper gold. I buy it for my physical consumptions, and we are already holding a physical gold which we have bought for long-term investment as well as use. Uh, Rest silver, yes, definitely silver also looking good, and going ahead in next few couple of years, silver and gold are looking very good for rally, and I think they are good investments. Rest about I heard total day and bottom anywhere. So no, there is no bottom in market right now. We are just in the mid of correction, and we have to see much some more correction. The bull market is not over, definitely. Of course, we have seen a brutal correction in small cap, mid caps, and I have been very much vocal about it since mid Jan Feb. I have been very much vocal that one should be booking profits in mid cap, small cap, PSU stocks because the valuations are very expensive. They are highly overbought, and we don't know when the correction will come, but when it comes, they will drop 20, 30, 40%, and it's happening. So I think there is still more room for correction in small cap, mid cap PSUs, and one should not try to bottom pick right now. Wait for another 15 days, and then probably we might see some bottom formation, and we will get opportunity in these sectors. So don't hurry, don't try to chase, don't try to bottom pick, and don't try to be adventurous. We are still in middle of it. We are not like ending correction. Uh, that's my view, and yes, that's it.
Thank you, Harsh. So next is Aditya Shah. Aditya, क्या लग रहा है, like क्या करवा दिया यार market में? I mean, I was thinking of adding chemical names और यहाँ सबकी मतलब लगी पड़ी is a humble word to use. अब सारा public के सामने बोल नहीं सकते हैं. So क्या लग रहा है यार?
No, yeah. So the market moves in a cycle, and the cycle over the last 12 months was that the small and mid caps were bid up to any valuation. So let me give you an example. There was a stock जो 2022-23 में ₹7 से लेके ₹240 हो गया था, उसको पंप किया जा रहा था, आज वो स्टॉक फिर से ₹7 की तरफ आ गया है. So what really happens is during those phases of the market, uh, a lot of euphoria and a lot of froth happens in the market, and because of that froth, retail investors get carried away. As I posted today, 40% of the SIP money is now oriented towards the small cap funds. Retail investors अपनी risk profiling किए बिना small cap funds को chase कर रहे थे. SEBI is not the trigger for this correction. The larger trigger for this correction is that small and mid caps were bid to an irrational valuation to a point where fund managers were finding it extremely difficult to deploy money. And because of this, this correction has come. Uh, because there's too much liquidity in the market, these corrections will be very, very brutal. Today, one of my quality mid cap, small cap stock is down 8% due to no fault of its own. It was going up वो भी नहीं पता था हमें क्यों जा रहा है ऊपर, और अब नीचे आया है तो अब हमें समझ में आ रहा है कि क्यों नीचे आया है. So this is a cycle of the market where the market needs to undergo a correction to clear out the froth. कभी जब स्टॉक्स ऊपर जा रहे थे तो कभी कोई ऐसी स्पेस नहीं हुई कि इतने फास्ट स्टॉक्स ऊपर जा रहे हैं तो क्यों जा रहे हैं, बट नीचे जा रही होती है तो सब लोग स्पेस करने शुरू हो जाते हैं कि क्यों नीचे जा रही है. सो माय पर्सपेक्टिव इज markets will move in a cycle. The small and the mid caps have to correct so that they can move on and make new highs. इसमें कोई घबराने वाली बात नहीं है. हाँ, उन लोगों को घबराने की बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरत है जिन्होंने चक्री स्टॉक्स में पैसे डाल के रखे हुए हैं, जिन्होंने स्टॉक्स नॉट बैक बाय कैश फ्लोज में इन्वेस्ट किया हुआ है, उनको घबराने की बिल्कुल ज़रूरत है. बिकॉज most of those stocks will lose 80 to 90% of their cash flows, and that's how they will be. We were in a phase from 2018 to 2021 when the small and the mid caps were beaten up and the large caps did really well. In 22 to 23, there was a phase when the large caps didn't do anything, but the small caps did exceptionally well. लोगों ने ये लिखना शुरू कर दिया था कि लार्ज कैप कुछ भी नहीं करेंगे और स्मॉल एंड मिड कैप्स ही सब कुछ करेंगे, और कंसेंसस ही था ये. कंसेंसस इज अ वेरी डेंजरस वर्ड इन द मार्केट. जब कंसेंसस होता है तो वहां पे उल्टा ही होता है. सो माय पर्सपेक्टिव इज forget about small, mid, or large cap. Try to find very high quality companies backed by strong earnings and strong cash flows. They may also undergo a correction of 20% or 25% during this market fall, but they are going to come back. Finally, I want to say this: tighten your seat belts, क्योंकि the up move is going to be very very brutal. So will the down move. अगर आपने 2002 से 2008 की बुल मार्केट देखी थी तो इट वाज द बिगेस्ट बुल मार्केट दैट इंडिया सॉ, एंड उसमें 3 से 4 बार करेक्शन हुई थी 40% की, एंड स्टिल वी वर इन अ बुल मार्केट. So we will, and for the next 20 years, we be in a bull market, but the corrections will be very, very violent. And that's where not speculating in junk stocks will really help you. तो ये तो छोटी मोटी करेक्शन है, अभी तो कोई ब्रूटल करेक्शन हुई नहीं. अगर आप 2018 से 2020 में स्मॉल कैप्स के अंदर थे तो आपको पता है स्मॉल और मिड कैप म्यूचुअल फंड्स 40 से 50% डाउन थे. स्टॉक्स वर एनीवेयर डाउन बिटवीन 60 to 80%. सो अभी ऐसा कोई भी करेक्शन नहीं हुआ है. इन नॉर्मल करेक्शन है, डे टू डे प्रोसेस ऑफ clearing out the junk and the excess that was building up in the market. SEBI has got nothing to do with it. SEBI is an excellent regulator जो कि अपने frauds को चेक कर रही है. जहाँ जहाँ पे लोग स्पेकुलेट कर रहे हैं वहाँ वहाँ पे वो चेक कर रही है. दिस इज ऑल ड्रिवन बाय मार्केट फोर्सेस एक्सेसिवली स्पेकुलेटिंग इन द मार्केट. सो घबराने की कोई जरूरत नहीं है. आप अपने स्टॉक्स को केयरफुली चेक करो. अगर कोई जंक स्टॉक है तो अभी भी बेच दो, टाइम है. अगर अच्छे क्वालिटी स्टॉक्स है तो वहां पे धीरे धीरे ऐड करने की रिक्वेस्ट रहेगी लोगों से. और अगर आपको कुछ भी स्टॉक समझ में नहीं आ रहा है तो प्लीज म्यूचुअल फंड की तरफ जाइए.
थैंक्स आदित्य. एंड हमने तो यार निफ्टी हाई पे भी स्पेसिस करा है और जब मार्केट की लगती है तब भी करते हैं, तो ये हमारा तो बना रहता है. खैर, आपने घबराना नहीं है से तो मार्केट आगे निकल गई है सर. अब घबरा के करें क्या, इस स्थिति में मार्केट आई हुई है. बट जोक्स अपार्ट, क्विकली I'll come to पहले रविंद्र भंडारी. he has some counter points or maybe different views to say, and then again I'll come to Brijesh and I'll try to rotate, and even Vajpayee's view also take. Yeah, Ravindra.
Yeah, so we were discussing about gold and silver. Uh, I don't know much about silver, but gold, I believe, should be at least 8%, 10% of everyone's portfolio. It provides stability. कोई यूज नहीं है उसका वो ठीक है, but as a financial asset, it's time tested. It provides stability. I used to cover metals 2009-10. हम लोग ने 2010 या 11 में रिपोर्ट निकाली थी. वी कंपेयर द लास्ट 300 ईयर का डेटा था. ये गोल्ड एंड सिल्वर का जो आउंस में डॉलर में रेशियो था, इट यूज टू ट्रेड एट 45-50, एंड 2011 it broke to 60-65, and we were in 2011-12 we wrote a report that it will reverse to. उस समय सिल्वर शायद आई गेस गोल्ड 1200-1300 होता था डॉलर में, और silver कुछ मतलब रेशियो 60-65 टच करने लगा था. नाउ रेशियो हैज मूव्ड प्लस. सो गोल्ड इज डेफिनेटली वंस आपको कहीं पे भी दिखता हो ना कि रेट कट के सिग्नल आना चालू होते हैं ओवरसीज मार्केट में, देन गोल्ड इज डेफिनेटली अ गुड प्रोडक्ट. अदर थिंग इज सम पीपल आर वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एसजीबी. उसमें अगर इट्स अ वेरी फैंटास्टिक प्रोडक्ट, अगर किसी को ये पता हो एंड इफ समवन कैन शेयर कि इफ आई परचेज एसजीबी फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट एंड सेल ऑन सेकेंडरी ऑन मार्केट, उसमें टैक्स लगता है कि नहीं लगता है. बिकॉज आप गवर्नमेंट से खरीदो और रिडेम्पशन में बेचो तो टैक्स नहीं लगता है. तो अगर आपने गवर्नमेंट से बैंक से लिया है एसजीबी के लॉन्च के टाइम में और 3-4 साल या 5 साल बाद बेचते हो तो टैक्स इम्प्लीकेशन क्या है, और या मार्केट से लिया और रिडेम्पशन तक वेट करते हो तो टैक्स इम्प्लीकेशन क्या है, देन द एसजीबी इज अ फैंटास्टिक फैंटास्टिक प्रोडक्ट. Other thing we were talking about the companies to invest in gold mining and all. अभी का तो मेरे को पता नहीं, but US and Australia there are large Barrick Gold है, 3-4 कंपनियां हैं dedicated to gold mining and they definitely always do well when the gold is on the up cycle. इंडिया में एक कंपनी है वो कुछ करती नहीं है यार, 10 साल से वो अपना एक माइन ही डेवलप कर रही है. आई गेस डेकन गोल्ड है. They don't do anything. Other thing we were discussing about, again coming back to the point of small cap and micro cap. Micro cap तो I don't know यार, I don't track that much. Small cap specific यार, जैसे ना बैंकिंग साइड में भी, बैंक में पीएसयू में वहाँ पे जैसे ना अपना यूनिवर्स अपने काटते हैं 3 स्लाइस में. द प्रीमियम वन इज एसबीआई एंड देन फिर अपने बॉब आता है, बॉब कैनरा, फिर यूनियन इंडियन बैंक ऑफ इंडिया, एंड ये अपर लेयर हो गए. एसबीआई टॉप लेयर, ये अपर लेयर. उसके बाद कहीं पे ये बैंक ऑफ महाराष्ट्र, नीचे के जो 4 बैंक है ना उसमें इतना यूफोरिया था ड्यूरिंग सम टाइम. बैंक लाइक आईओबी, यूको बैंक, पंजाब एंड सिंध बैंक, और एक बैंक है मैं नाम भूल गया, शायद सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ इंडिया. उनका फ्री फ्लोट नहीं है 500 करोड़ का, 1000 करोड़ का. उनका डेली का ट्रेडिंग 1000 करोड़ से ऊपर होता था एट द एंड ऑफ जनवरी एंड बिगिनिंग ऑफ फेब्रवरी. हाउ इज दिस पॉसिबल? बिकॉज एवरी वन इज जस्ट फॉलोइंग चार्ट कि भाई ये ट्रेंड लाइन ब्रेक किया, अब ये ऊपर ही जाएगा विदाउट एनी सपोर्ट फ्रॉम द फंडामेंटल. एक बजाज फाइनेंस 6x बुक वैल्यू पे ट्रेड करता है, यहीं पे आईओबी 6x बुक वैल्यू पे ट्रेड करता है. So this kind of disconnect, it will easily wipe out 50-60%, and वहाँ पे कोई आके बचाने भी नहीं वाला है. So those kind of storytelling and following only chart and investing in smaller names, one should be really worried. Large cap hasn't performed anything. Yeah, they are dramatically down to the valuation what they used to be 2 years back. So again, I drive that same point. Okay, wherever the valuation comfort is, you check the valuation for last 10 years. Don't check it only for last 2 years. But check the median. Screener में दिखता है median PE multiple, median price to book multiple for different companies for 10 years something, and then see आज कहाँ पे है. If you see strikingly different, then whether the growth path is now different or not. So that will tell you like 50-60% of the answer. यही है, बाकी तो लार्ज कैप में ऐसा कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. जो स्मॉलर यूनिवर्स है एंड स्पेशली वेयर द वैल्यूएशन हैज बिकम 5x 7x in 2 years without too much change in the underlying business, there one need to worry. और हाँ हाँ हाँ, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड डेटा का बात कर रहे थे. आदित्य पॉइंटेड आउट राइटली, what has happened from April, May last year till October, there were redemption in large cap and huge inflow in the small cap. टूवर्ड्स द एंड ऐसा हो रहा था कि एसआईपी या नेट इनफ्लो का उसका 40% स्मॉल कैप में जा रहा था, 20% मिड कैप में जा रहा था. जनवरी फरवरी में वापस से लार्ज कैप में नेट इनफ्लो चालू हुआ. सो दिस इज समथिंग विच इज बाउंड टू रिवर्स. Only it took longer because it became heavy during the month of October, December only, but it took longer. Okay, all those people who were just following chart, they were carrying on with their trades.
Thanks,
So,
thanks,
yeah,
Ravi. I'll come to you once again. So, stock market scientist has been waiting quite a while. So, quickly, you can unmute and keep your limited views. Please be mindful of time so that we can also go to other speakers as well. And Akhilesh, I'm trying to add you, but not happening. But I'll try again. Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, you can speak. Yeah.
Sure, sure. Thanks a lot for giving this opportunity to speak up here. So I'm listening lots of these senior people talking about lots of good things. So I'm learning from it. And meantime, I'm basically not a great. Last time also he asked about some fundamentals, so I'm just studying about it and learning from all the books and some of the great YouTube videos. But at the same time that I'm a core chart flowing member, so I feel that market right now we have gone around 17 to 18 percentage. Better rukna. 17 to 18% from the peak apex, and now I am feeling that it will bounce back, but we should not be in a hurry to start the buying in heavy position. We should test the water with very few quantity, and then we can see how it is acting. So I'm thinking that this will bounce back, because all the, if you see like 10 EMA 20 and 50, everything has been broken. So I mean, market move like this way, like it will go swing in one direction, after 5 to 10 days it will go to again upward direction. This is how it has been by technical way. So I'm thinking that from here for short while it will go upside. So I'm just thinking I will add some few quantity and see the how it is behaving. That's all my point is. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. So, yeah, Ravi, quickly go ahead, please.
एक क्विक पॉइंट आई मूव आउट। एक चीज है, ये जो बियर मार्केट के रैली होते हैं ना, वो बहुत ब्रूटल होते हैं। से अगर किसी को माल बेचना भी है ना, ऐसे प्रेशर में माल बिकता ही नहीं है। आपको एक दो दिन वो जो चीजें 10-20% गिरी है ना, यू विल सी दे गो ऑन अपर सर्किट 1 or 2 days। अदरवाइज तो किसी का माल जो फंस गया वो बिकता ही नहीं है। So don't go with what you see in 1-2 days. I'm again repeating. Wait for March month. Maybe आपको 10% ज़्यादा में खरीदना पड़े, because few of the instances which we saw today in the market, यार एक स्टॉक एक दिन का ऊपर 10% था और डे के एंड में 18-20% डाउन था। सो 30% वॉलेटिलिटी एक स्टॉक में साल का होता है, वहां पे एक दिन का है। And I don't think this is the bottom yet, at least for the micro and small cap. आप लार्ज कैप में हो एंड वैल्यूएशन लॉन्ग टर्म पैरामीटर में सस्ता है, आप ट्रैक करो तो ठीक है। बट वेट, मे बी आपको 10% ज़्यादा महंगा पड़ जाए, बट आई थिंक डोंट गो विद ब्रूटल bear market rally which might happen in next 10 days. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. So, Brajesh, you sent request again. So quickly you can make your point, and then we go to Sarvendra ji and then Vajpayee ji, Mohit, in that order. Yeah. Brajesh, you are still on mute. I think he must be. So, Sarvendra ji, you can keep your view around the market basis your chart reading, how you are seeing the market panning out from here.
Good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
अरे प्रिंस जी कहाँ हो? लेकिन आप गायब ही हो गए आप तो हमारी टाइमलाइन से।
सर आप ही कम दर्शन देते हैं, हम तो यही है सर नगरी में।
अरे भाई हम तो आते रहते हैं, आपने फॉलो करना छोड़ दिया, वहां से आपके अपडेट्स नहीं आते। आप डालोगे तो मैं जहां तक पॉसिबल है हो सकता है तो आ ही जाता हूँ।
चलो सर,
फुल टाइम
चलो आगे
फुल टाइम सोशल मीडिया वाला तो नहीं हूँ।
हम भी ध्यान रखेंगे सर,
नहीं
आप ही
देखिए,
पूछते रहा।
मैं तो सुनने के लिए आया था आज। आप मुझे डालते रहा करो, मैं आते रहूंगा, मुझे मालूम ही नहीं चलता है। और मैं फुल टाइम सोशल मीडिया वाला बंदा तो हूँ नहीं, तो मुझे जेन्युइनली नहीं मालूम रहता है। मैं आता हूँ 2-4-5 दिन में एक बार। आज तो स्पेसेस चल रहे थे तो आज सुनने आया, और स्पीकर रिक्वेस्ट खाली इसके लिए भेजा कि भाई आप होस्ट हैं, और सारे होस्टों से जिस भी स्पेसेस में जाता हूँ, होस्ट का भी एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल ये है कि भाई आप देख लीजिए, अपने स्पीकर्स को भी आपको वेट करना है, प्लस उनका कंटेंट भी वेट करना है। अब मैं नाम नहीं जानता भी, कोई सज्जन बात कर रहे थे गोल्ड के, गोल्ड ने कुछ किया नहीं है, तो ऐसे लूज स्टेटमेंट्स आके इतने बड़े फोरम पे मेरे हिसाब से नहीं देना चाहिए। जाके हिस्ट्री चेक करें, गोल्ड डाउ को 20 साल से बीट कर रहा है, सेंसेक्स को लास्ट 16 साल से बीट कर रहा है। गोल्ड इज अ एसेट व्हिच हैज अप्रिशिएटेड मोर देन द सेंसेक्स एंड द डाउ ओवर द लास्ट 15 इयर्स। ओके, तो ये एक तो इतना इंपॉर्टेंट एसेट है, लेकिन उसको इतना हल्के में मीडिया ने, या एक परसेप्शन इतना हल्का बना दिया गया है गोल्ड के लिए कि लोगों को गोल्ड समझता ही नहीं है। बट फैक्ट ऑफ द मैटर रिमेन्स कि डाउन एक भी नया हाई नहीं मारा है गोल्ड में 1999 से। आज चल रहा है 2024। किसी को समझ में आता है कितना इंपॉर्टेंट डेटा है? सो हर आदमी शॉर्ट टर्म में 1-2-3 महीना देखता है और सोचता है अरे गोल्ड कुछ नहीं कर रहा है। अरे जब जाके देखो ना हिस्ट्री में क्या किया है। गोल्ड ने सबकी बैंड बजाई है, कोई एसेट क्लास नहीं है जिसकी गोल्ड ने बैंड नहीं बजाई है लॉन्ग रन में। ठीक है, एंड एज आई सेड, सेंसेक्स इट हैज बीन बीटिंग फॉर द लास्ट 16 इयर्स एंड डाउ इट हैज बीन बीटिंग फॉर द लास्ट नाउ 25 इयर्स। ओके, सो गोल्ड इज अ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट एसेट इन लाइफ, उसको हल्के में मत लीजिए, और लूज स्टेटमेंट्स प्लीज गोल्ड के बारे में मत दीजिए बिना सोचे समझे, बिना डेटा को पढ़े हुए। दिस पेन्स मी अ लॉट। मुझे बहुत तकलीफ होती है। क्या इतने लोग स्पेसेस पे आते हैं, इतने 400-500 लोग हैं, उनको गलत मैसेज जाता है। सबके पास गोल्ड 8% क्यों, 25-40% गोल्ड रखिए ना अपने पोर्टफोलियो में, फिर हमको याद करेंगे कि लाइफ में क्या हुआ, गोल्ड ने आपके लिए क्या किया। बट उसको आपको 10-12 साल रखना पड़ेगा। जब आप म्यूचुअल फंड 10 साल 20 साल रखने को रेडी हैं, तो गोल्ड जैसा एसेट आपसे 20 साल नहीं रखा जाता, 10 साल नहीं रखा जाता, फिर आप बोलते हैं गोल्ड परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा। अरे भाई, आप पहले गोल्ड को टाइम तो दो परफॉर्म करने का, पहली बात। और दूसरी बात, टाइमली लो। $1240 से चिल्ला रहे हैं ले गोल्ड डबल डबल डबल, अब तो डबल होने को आ गया। और अभी तो अपने को लगता है गोल्ड $3,000-3,500 भी हो जाएगा, बट यहाँ से नहीं ले, अब यहाँ से चढ़ के नहीं लेना है, बहुत संभाल के लेना है। सो मैंने ट्वीट भी किया था लास्ट मंथ में कि भाई गोल्ड में एसआईपी करिए, याद रखेंगे हमको। और वाई ओनली 8%, 10%? 30-40% गोल्ड होना चाहिए इस समय पोर्टफोलियो में आपके पास, जिस तरह के माहौल, जिस तरह के सेटअप्स बने हुए हैं, और जो आज लोगों ने देखा भी। इसके पहले भी एक बार ट्वीट किया था, लोग बहुत ट्रोल कर रहे थे, 20, -20, -20, -10 एंड -10, ये 4 सर्किट लगेंगे, 48% आपके पैसे साफ हो जाएंगे 4 दिन में। ओके, उसके बाद जब 5% लोअर लग के वो T2T में जाएगा या SM में जाएगा, वो तो बात की बात है। उसके बाद क्या होगा वो किसी को नहीं मालूम, बट you have to understand what damage a bear market can do in liquid stocks, mid cap, small cap। और हम तो कब से लोगों को वार्निंग कर रहे हैं, अभी तो सपोज शुरुआत है, अभी क्या होगा वो तो आगे देखेंगे, आज तो डे 1 है तो ज्यादा नहीं बोलते। बट पीपल शुड बी मैथमेटिकली अवेयर ऑफ द फैक्ट दैट 20, 20, 10, 10 -4 days of circuit can take out 48% of your money in 4 days। जो चला है 3 साल में वो 4 दिन में गवाता है बाजार, और आज से नहीं, एक बार नहीं, 11 बार मैं अपनी जीवन में देख चुका हूँ, 10-11 बार। जस्ट चक्कर क्या है कि कोविड की तेजी में सारे जो नए आए हैं उन्होंने कभी देखा तो है नहीं कि क्या होता है। दे डोंट अंडरस्टैंड नंबर्स, दे डोंट अंडरस्टैंड मैथमेटिक्स, दे डोंट अंडरस्टैंड कि क्या हो सकता है बाजार में जब खराब होता है। तो आपकी 3-4 साल की मेहनत 4 दिन में चली जाएगी, और खुदा ना खास्ता 5% लोअर मारता गया और खुला नहीं तो आप उसमें फंस जाओगे। अभी नाउ जस्ट फॉर द सेक ऑफ टेकिंग अ नेम, आई थिंक 2018, 17-18 में बॉम्बे डाइंग, इट्स अ बिग नेम ना, राइट? 280 से 80 रुपए तक ऑलमोस्ट नॉन स्टॉप सर्किट में आया था। आपकी बहुत अच्छी तमन्ना रहेगी कि मैं ट्रेलिंग स्टॉप लॉस लगाऊंगा, मैं तो 80 रुपए में चढ़ा हूं, मैं तो 240 में ट्रेलिंग स्टॉप लगा के बैठा हूं, ये लगा के बैठा हूं। अरे वो सब आपका धरा का धरा रह जाएगा, माल ही नहीं बिकेगा, आपका माल ही नहीं बिकेगा, क्योंकि सुबह 9:15 1 सेकंड पे उसमें लोअर सर्किट लगा रहेगा, XYZ जो भी है। नाम मैंने खाली एक रेफरेंस के लिए लिया है, आई एम नॉट कमेंटिंग ऑन अ स्टॉक हियर, बट आई एम जस्ट गिविंग एन एग्जांपल सो दैट पीपल कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट गुड नेम्स गो डाउन, फॉरगेट कचरा तो भूल ही जाओ। अच्छे बड़े बड़े नाम जब घुसना शुरू करते हैं तो किसी को एग्जिट नहीं मिलता है, एंड दैट इज द होल एसेंस ऑफ टाइमिंग, कि आप राइट टाइम पे बेच के निकलो। भले ही टॉप से 10% पहले आपने बेच दिया, आपको गाली बहुत पड़ेगी, हमको गाली बहुत पड़ेगी, क्योंकि हमने टॉप से 5-10% पहले एग्जिट बोल दिया। अरे भाई, लेकिन मैंने 100 वाली चीज 90 में अगर आप एग्जिट बोल दी, 90 से वो 100 भी हो गई, बाद में मिलनी 50 में, 1 साल बाद मेरे को मालूम है कि भाई 50 में मिलेगी, तो कहाँ प्रॉब्लम है? 90 की बेची हुई चीज अगर 50 में मिलती है 1 साल बाद, वेयर इज द प्रॉब्लम? उसके बीच में वो 100 जावे, 110 जावे, क्या करना है? बट यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि कहां से अब रिस्क बढ़ गया है, वहां निकलना पड़ता है। एंड इसके पहले भी एक बार ट्वीट किया था तो लोग सब ट्रोल करने आ जाते हैं कि भाई -10, -20, -20, -10, 10, ये आप लोग गणित करके देख लीजिए, 48% पैसे आपके 4 दिन में निकल जाते हैं, किसी भी स्टॉक में निकल सकते हैं। ये तो कैश के स्टॉक है, एफएनओ के स्टॉक में तो कोई लिमिट ही नहीं है सर्किट में। सो अगेन आई डोंट वांट टू नेम स्टॉक्स, बट एडीजी पैक के कितने सारे स्टॉक थे जो एक दिन में 40-40% गिरे, एंड वी नो DHFL, यस बैंक, ये सब एक दिन में 30-40% एफएनओ में गिरते थे स्टॉक्स, जब गिरते थे, और किसी को कोई एग्जिट नहीं मिलता था। सो उस दिन से डरिए और थोड़ा अलर्ट रहिए और पैसे प्रॉफिट्स बुक करते रहिए, ड्राई पाउडर में बैठिए। साल के शुरू से चिल्ला रहा हूं, बाकी जो होना है वो तो अब हम लोग देखेंगे। बट आई जस्ट केम फॉर गोल्ड को हल्के में कोई मत लीजिए, गोल्ड की हिस्ट्री पढ़िए फिर समझ में आएगा। गोल्ड ने लास्ट 100-150 साल में हर चीज को हैंड्स डाउन बीट किया है, हैंड्स डाउन, ठीक है? तो गोल्ड सबके बुक में होना चाहिए 30-40% एटलीस्ट, मेरे हिसाब से। अगेन दिस इज नॉट अ रिकमेंडेशन, जस्ट अ थॉट दैट आई एम शेयरिंग, सो काइंडली टेक इट with that pinch of salt and do your own homework. I am not responsible for any trades that you do, but आप SIP करिए, नुकसान नहीं होएगा, ऐसा मेरा मानना है।
Alright. So Brajesh,
एंड रेस्ट मार्केट का तो सब देख ही रहे, मार्केट में कुछ बोलने जैसा है नहीं। मैं तो साल के शुरू से ही बोल रहा हूँ कि भाई ये साइकिल का साल है, इसमें 30-40% इंडेक्स घुस जाता है और स्टॉक्स उससे ज्यादा घुस जाते हैं। तो ऑलरेडी घुस गए स्टॉक, तो आधे होने को आ ही रहे हैं। अभी आज कितने सारे स्टॉक्स मुझे दिख रहे हैं जो हाई से ऑलमोस्ट 30-40% डाउन है। धीमे धीमे स्लो पॉइजन के जैसा बाजार घुस गया है, लोगों को समझ में ही नहीं आया। व्हाई? बिकॉज इंडेक्स वाज सो नाइसली मैनेज्ड, इंडेक्स को इतना बढ़िया मैनेज करके रखा है कि सेंटिमेंट को टूटने नहीं दिया, और लोग खड़े रह गए लास्ट तक। यही हुआ था 2008 में भी। मिड कैप जब तक निफ्टी गिरना शुरू हुआ था तो मिड कैप 40-40% ऑलरेडी ठुक चुके थे। सो इट्स ऑलमोस्ट अ रिपीट इज व्हाट आई एम फीलिंग राइट नाउ, क्योंकि आज इंडेक्स आज गिरा है, लेकिन स्टॉक्स तो मैं देख रहा हूँ 30-40% ऑलरेडी ठुक चुके, और एक नहीं, मतलब 30-40 नाम तो स्क्रीन में सामने ही दिख रहे हैं मेरे को। सो प्लीज बी अलर्ट एंड ट्रेड वाइजली, और इमोशंस में नहीं बहे, पैसा आपका है, संभाल के करें और अलर्ट रहे। That's my humble advice.
thanks, Sarvendra ji. So, would also appreciate just you explained about gold. If you share some data over your hand timeline, so would love to share with our audience. And definitely, difference of opinion is something which should happen. But again,
सॉरी मैं
nobody
मिस
is
कर गया,
coming.
आपको क्या चाहिए था?
Sir, if you have
सॉरी
some data or chart which can
मैं चार्ट ही
substantiate.
भेजूंगा, मैं
हाँ. So I would
I will
love to
put
share
my
with our
proprietary indicator on gold and I will show how
great.
Dow is not, it's not made a new high. The indicator has not made a new high since 1999. It's at half the value.
Right.
Dow has given say 6x return, gold has given 11x, almost 10x return. So it's beating Dow.
I have one counter argument what Sarvinder ji is mentioning.
Yeah, please.
जैसे ना अगर अगर रविंद्र है से अपने अपने अगर व्हाट यू आर सेइंग कि कोई भी टाइम फ्रेम का डेटा लो आई गेस डाउ जोन्स वाज अबाउट 100 150 और 200 एट द टाइम ऑफ से 100 ईयर डेटा 2020 25 वहाँ से वो कुछ 200x चला है गोल्ड वाज 20x $20 पर आउंस वहाँ से गोल्ड 100x चला है तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हर टाइम फ्रेम में लास्ट 10 साल का कि गोल्ड 2011-12 में एक बार 1800-1900 गया था डॉलर में तो आई नॉट श्योर कि मतलब कौन से टाइम फ्रेम में बट ऐसा नहीं है कि इट ऑलवेज आउट परफॉर्म इट्स अ
नहीं
वेरी
आपने
इंपॉर्टेंट
आपने
एसेट कमांड
आपने गोल्ड किसी आपने आपका स्टेटमेंट है क्या क्या सुन लीजिएगा, आप ऐसा स्टेटमेंट एक बड़े फोरम में नहीं दे सकते, ठीक है? नाउ यू आर इफ यू वांटिंग टू ट्रैक द 100 डेटा देन यू हैव टू पुट एवरीथिंग एल्स देयर एंड यू हैव टू सी डाउ को डॉलर देन यू हैव टू सी इन इन्फ्लेशन एडजस्टेड टर्म्स कि डाउ ने क्या रिटर्न दिया है, देन यू हैव टू एडजस्ट
दैट्स
100
व्हाट
डेज
आई
का
एम
चार्ट
सेइंग
अगर आप
दैट्स व्हाट आई एम
देखेंगे।
सेइंग 100 ईयर में
हाँ
डाउ
तो
का
आप 100 डेज का चार्ट
200x है
देखेंगे तो भी
और गोल्ड का
तो भी
100x
गोल्ड
है
ने आउट परफॉर्म किया रहेगा। देखिए मुझे
मतलब
आपसे
दोनों
कोई
डॉलर
पर्सनल
टर्म
ग्रज
में
नहीं है, नहीं मुझे आपसे कोई पर्सनल ग्रज नहीं है, मैं आपको क्या बोल रहा हूँ, आपने बहुत एक लूज स्टेटमेंट दे दिया, इसके लिए मुझे आना पड़ा, नहीं तो मैं तो आज लिसनर मोड में ही आया था। आई होप यू अप्रिशिएट दैट, ठीक है? लेट्स नॉट आपको करना है मुझे डीएम कर दिए, आपका अगर डीएम खुला है मैं कर देता हूँ, वी कैन टेक इट ऑफ एयर एंड आई विल शो यू हाउ इट हैज आउट परफॉर्म सिंस एजेस। ओके
Yeah, Brajesh, you unmuted and you wanted to speak something. Brajesh, you back?
या आई एम बैक। तो मेरा तो प्रिंस भाई एक ही कहना है, आप जो अभी अदिति जी से बोल रहे थे केमिकल स्टॉक्स का और ये, फॉर मी एक दिन का फॉल 2 दिन का फॉल मेरे लिए कोई मायने नहीं रखता है। एज लॉन्ग एज मैंने कंपनी का मार्केट कैप देख के स्टॉक्स लेता हूँ, मैं कंपनी में डिविडेंड यील्ड देखता हूँ, और मेरे पास ऐसे स्टॉक्स हैं जो 1991 से मेरे को आज तक डिविडेंड दे रहे हैं अनस्किप्ड। Now they are making such a big money that they are paying it every quarter, and it's not an IT company. You know the name of the company, and that particular sector is going on. और जो आप लोग देखते हो या जनरल लोग जो मार्केट में देखते हैं, ये डेली पोर्टफोलियो देख करके घट गया या बढ़ गया, ये सब नोशनल वैल्यू है। मैं बिलीव करता हूँ आपको आपके लाइबिलिटीज काउंट करना चाहिए, एसेट्स कभी भी काउंट नहीं करना चाहिए। So I have counted my liabilities first. I have deposited my advance tax in December, paid in September, and already paid in March also. तो अगर आप लाइबिलिटीज काउंट करके चलोगे, आपको मार्केट में कभी भी डर नहीं रहेगा, क्योंकि ये सब फॉल और ये सब इसको एंटिसिपेट करना, इसको सोचना, ये सब हमारे हाथ में नहीं है। कोई को भी नहीं मालूम है मार्केट कब घटेगा और कितना घटेगा। तो सेफ और सिक्योर रहना, मेरे को मेरी थ्योरी मालूम है। आई एम फॉलोइंग सिंस सो मेनी ईयर्स, 1996 से आज तक का मेरे पास आईटीआर कैपिटल, मेरा कैपिटल अकाउंट सब मेरे पास है। फॉलोअर्स, लाइक्स, ये कभी भी कैपिटल अकाउंट में आपके बैलेंस शीट का पार्ट नहीं होते। तो सीधा सीधा बात। और जो लोग बुलिश हैं उनके पास अपना पैसा है, जो जिस असेट क्लास में लगाना चाहते हैं, दे कैन पे मार्जिन, दे कैन बाय अपफ्रंट। सो देयर इज नो पॉइंट इन डिबेटिंग एंड आर्ग्यूइंग ऑन ऑल दिस थिंग। सीधी सीधी बात है, मेरे मेंटर ने मुझे सिखाई है, डिफरेंस ऑफ ओपिनियन मेक्स द मार्केट। समवन इज बायर, ही इज बुलिश, समवन इज सेलर, ही इज बेरिश। जब दोनों लोग मैच होते हैं, उनका सौदा होता है, वहां से मार्केट क्रिएट। दैट्स ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड।
Thanks, Brajesh, and very relevant point. Everybody has their style and understanding. could be a possibility. One is right or the other is right, or maybe there is a segregation on the way they invest their money and make money in the market. At the end of the day, one has to make money in the market. So there could be a number of ways of making money in the market. So difference of opinion is appreciated. Yeah, that is not an issue. So going forward, Akhilesh, not sure yeah what's happening. Even I tried sending your request. I saw your request. I was trying to approve it, but unable to approve it. So meanwhile, Vajpayee ji, you have also joined quite a while.
Prince, I'll have to come in again just on this that we are just discussing. देखिए बहुत सिंपल अप्रोच है, ऐसा नहीं है कि मार्केट को अगेन ये धारणा है कि भाई मार्केट को टाइम नहीं कर सकते, बट मैं बिल्कुल इसको नहीं मानता. सिंपल चार्ट सेंसेक्स का सबके पास है, मैंने उसको पोस्ट भी किया था, कहीं रहेगा टाइमलाइन पर तो दोबारा पोस्ट कर देता हूँ. लास्ट 44 साल में 11 बार निफ्टी अप्रोक्सीमेटली 30% के आसपास या कभी उससे थोड़ा ज्यादा भी गिरा, मतलब 11 करेक्शन रहे हैं, एवरेज 30-35% का निफ्टी में करेक्शन रहता है. एंड इट्स सो क्लॉकवर्क, इट्स सो कॉपी बुक कि वो होता ही है, हर 2-4 साल में एक बार वो साइकिल्स बनती ही हैं और वो होता ही है. तो अगर आप थोड़ा हिम्मत करेंगे, मेहनत करेंगे तो मार्केट को डेफिनेटली टाइम कर सकते हैं. पूरा नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन डेफिनेटली काफी हद तक टाइम कर सकते हैं. एंड अगर आप उसमें 70% भी कामयाब हो गए मार्केट को टाइम करने में 1:2 के रिस्क रिवॉर्ड से, विच मीन्स 11 फॉल में से अगर आप बाजार 40-40% गिरता है, लेकिन अगर आपने 10% भी अपने पैसे बचा लिए हर 2-2.5 साल में, अगर आपने 10% भी अपने पैसे बचाए, तो अगर आपने 100 यूनिट म्यूचुअल फंड से चालू किया था 1993 में या 20 साल पहले, मतलब 2000 में अगर आपने चालू किया था, 2005 में भी अगर आपने 100 म्यूचुअल फंड के यूनिट से चालू किया था, तो हर 2-2.5 साल में आप उसमें 10 यूनिट ऐड कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि आप 100 में बेचेंगे, 90 में लेंगे. एक जस्ट मोटा मोटी बता रहा हूँ, खाली 10% ऑफ दैट फॉल अगर उसको आप टाइम कर पाए, ठीक है. थ्योरेटिकल है, लोग बोलेंगे थ्योरेटिकल, बट मैं आई एम सेइंग कि वो आपके यूनिट्स 100 के 210 हो जाते और पैसे आप उतनी कम. आज आपके पास चॉइस है कि आप 100 यूनिट लेके 20 साल पहले से खड़े हो जाइए आंख बंद करके, और आप बोलिए इंडिया में जीवन भर तेजी रहेगी 20 साल, ठीक है. आपके 100 यूनिट के आपको जो तब आपने 100 यूनिट 100 के नेवी में लिए थे, आज वो सपोज जो भी है 10 गुना हो गया या 20 गुना हो गया, तो वो आपके 100 के 200 या 400 हो गए. बट अगर आपने अपने टाइमिंग करके थोड़े यूनिट बढ़ा लिए, तो आपके पास यूनिट अब 100 नहीं 210 हैं, और आपके पैसे उतने ही मिलने हैं. आपको एनएवी तो आपका जहां जाना है वहां तो चला ही गया है, 400 पे है या 500 पे, तो एनएवी तो नाउ यू मेड 2x मोर मनी इन दोस 20 years बाय डूइंग लिटिल बिट ऑफ हार्ड वर्क एंड टाइमिंग. एक चीज ये हो गई. दूसरी बात, हर 3 से 4 साल का जो बुल मार्केट खत्म, एक साइकिल खत्म होता है, उसमें स्टॉक्स ही चेंज हो जाते हैं. एंड एवरी 8 years तो पूरा का पूरा सेक्टर स्टॉक्स चेंज हो जाते हैं. सो इफ यू आर एबल टू रोटेट ऑल्सो इन द गुड सेक्टर्स एट गुड टाइम, महंगे बेच के सस्ते वाले सेक्टर्स आप अगर ले पाए, तो आप और बड़ा पैसा बनाते हैं. आई कैन गिव यू अ क्लासिक एग्जांपल, वीडियोस कहीं पड़े रहेंगे तो नेट पे से पोस्ट कर दूंगा. 16-17 में 15-16 में हमने 16-17 में ऑटोज और फार्मा पे सेल लिया था कि भाई ये दोनों आधे होंगे. और मेटल्स उस समय आई थिंक सन फार्मा कुछ 900-1000 रुपए चला करता था और टाटा स्टील कुछ 200-250 रुपए चलता था, तो सन फार्मा बेच के टाटा स्टील लिया था. तो नाउ सन फार्मा तो आधा हो गया, टाटा स्टील 4 गुना हो गया. सो दैट इज वेयर यू कैन मेक इवन मोर किकर. तो उस सब में हम जा नहीं रहे, बट आई एम सेइंग सिंपल बेसिक भी अगर आप 10% अपने पोर्टफोलियो में यूनिट्स में ऐड कर पाए हर 2-2.5 साल में, तो आपका पोर्टफोलियो ही 20 साल में डबल हो जाएगा. नंबर ऑफ स्टॉक्स की बात कर रहा हूँ, एनएवी जो आपको मिलना है वो तो फाइनल मिलेगा ही मिलेगा. सो देयर इज ऑलवेज अ मेरिट इन डूइंग सम हार्ड वर्क एंड टाइमिंग. बट या अभी वो जिसको करना है वो करे, बट नहीं करना है नहीं करे, बट करेगा तो बहुत फायदा होगा. और ये सेंसस का डेटा बोलता है, मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ, ठीक है. 11 करेक्शंस ऑफ 30% और मोर अप्रोक्सीमेटली इन दोस 40 years, तो मतलब 4 साल में एक बार 30% तो गिरता ही है, ठीक है. तो अब आप बोले कि नहीं दिखता भी है फिर भी हमें नहीं करना है, तो ठीक है, इट्स योर चॉइस. बट आई वुड से जो नए बच्चे लोग आ रहे हैं, जो नए लोग हैं, बिल्कुल थोड़ा अलर्ट रहें, करें. मार्केट को टाइम किया जा सकता है. आई डोंट अग्री विद द फैक्ट दैट मार्केट कैन नॉट बी टाइम. मार्केट कैन बी टाइम विद अ फेयर डिग्री ऑफ लॉजिक एंड सर्टेनिटी, एंड 70% टाइम राइट जाना है. 1:2 के रिस्क रिवॉर्ड से पैसे बन जाएंगे, खाली बाय एंड होल्ड से ज्यादा. मार्टिन फ्रिंक की बुक है, जिनके पास वो पढ़ ले, फर्स्ट पेज पे ही लिखा हुआ है कि डाउ को बाय एंड होल्ड किया होता तो कितने पैसे बनते, और टेक्निकल्स के ऊपर अगर 30-40 years में ट्रेड किया होता तो कितने पैसे बनते. सो इट्स ऑलमोस्ट 3x मोर. सो थोड़ा टाइमिंग, थोड़ा मेहनत करेंगे तो पैसे और बन सकते हैं. प्लस मैंने बोला अच्छे कचरा स्टॉक्स भी साफ होते रह सकते हैं. मतलब 2008 में जेपी एसोसिएट्स वाज अ डार्लिंग, ठीक है. 800 रुपए में उसमें 1250 का कॉल.
तो सर्वेंद्र सर, अभी एज ऑन टुडे
यूज
आप
नहीं है, तो अगर आपके पास वही बाय ऑन होल्ड में जेपी एसोसिएट पड़ा होता तो आज आपके
हेलो,
पैसे तो बन नहीं रहे होते. सो जस्ट एक एग्जांपल दे रहा हूँ.
तो सर्वेंद्र सर, as on today, like, is it fair to assume like you are 50-60% in gold and rest in cash?
देखिए इंडिविजुअल पोजीशंस तो डिस्कस नहीं करेंगे, बट या एज आई सेड, मैंने तो खुद ही साल के स्टार्ट में ही बोला है कि भाई जो लोग अग्रेसिव हैं वो तो 100% कैश और शॉर्ट करने की भी सोच सकते हैं, प्योर हाई रिस्क एग्रेसिव ट्रेडर की बात हो रही है। जो मॉडरेट इन्वेस्टर्स हैं, जिनको थोड़ा कम जिनसे लॉन्ग शॉर्ट तो ज्यादा होता नहीं है, वो तकरीबन 30-40% कैश पे रह सकते थे या 20-30% कैश पे रह सकते हैं। और जो पैसे वाले हैं वो भी 40-50% कैश पे तो रह सकते हैं। बेसिकली ड्राई पाउडर इस साल अगर आपके पास रहेगा तो आपको वो जो मैंने अभी समझाया ना कि 10% एक्स्ट्रा इंक्रीमेंटल जो आपको कमाना है वो आपको मिल जाएगा। और वो 10% इंक्रीमेंटल 3-4 साल के बाद वाला ना आपके फाइनल पीएनएल में 20 साल के बाद बहुत बड़ा किकर लाएगा, बहुत बड़ा डेल्टा लेके आएगा, जो अभी किसी को समझ में नहीं आता। बट जाके खुद ही वो एक्सरसाइज सेंसेक्स के डेटा पे कर लें कि हर 2-2.5 साल में 3 साल में अगर एक बार 10% टाइम करके बना लें तो कितना एक्स्ट्रा पैसा बन सकता है। सो इट इज नॉट ईजी, आई एम नॉट नो लॉन्गर सेइंग इट्स ईजी, बट अगर थोड़ा अलर्ट रहेंगे तो मौके मिलेंगे, लेकिन अगर आंख बंद करके बैठे रहेंगे तो मौके कहाँ से मिलेंगे। सो लक फेवर्स द ब्रेव, नो, वो सिंपल सी कहावत है। तो आप कोशिश करेंगे तो मिलेगा और उससे फायदा होगा, खराब स्टॉक से भी निकलने का मौका मिलेगा, अगले बुल मार्केट के कचरे से भी निकलने का मौका मिलेगा। क्योंकि जरूरी नहीं कि इस बुल मार्केट में जो चला है, और ये हकीकत है, जो इस बुल मार्केट में चला है वो अगले बुल मार्केट में उतना नहीं चलेगा, और सबका टाइम आता है, मतलब देयर इज ऑलवेज रोटेशन। तो अगर आप अच्छे से करेंगे तो शायद आप रोटेट भी अच्छा कर पाए। जैसे मैंने एक लाइव क्लासिक एग्जांपल दिया कि बिटवीन फार्मा और मेटल्स हमने रोटेट किया था, फार्मा बेच के मेटल लिया था, तो फार्मा में 50% गिरने से बच गए और मेटल में 4 गुना कमा गए, तो हमने 8x का डेल्टा बना लिया, 8x डेल्टा बन गया हमारा। सो बट वो ठीक है, वो 4-5 साल में एक ही ट्रेड मिलेगा, बट मिलता है, व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से, मिलता है और किया हुआ है। तो
Right.
थोड़ा मेहनत करनी
Thank
चाहिए।
you. So definitely those who can, very well time the market, they should try doing this. And for others, if they have different process, so they should, because data also says like in a period of year or maybe 2,
हाँ
3, 4 years.
मैं आप
Brajesh,
सर्वेंट सर से बात करनी थी।
या एक सेकंड ब्रजेश, मैं आपके पास आता हूँ। तो बेसिकली 3-4 साल में कुछ ऐसे 5-10 दिन मार्केट के ऐसे रहते हैं कि वो अगर हम मिस कर दे तो जो मेजोरिटी ऑफ रिटर्न्स होते हैं 3-4 साल के, तो वो भी वाइप आउट हो जाते हैं। तो डेफिनेटली इट हैज बोथ द साइड। सो इफ यू आर स्मार्ट इनफ टू टाइम, then definitely you can create alpha by doing that. And contrary to which, if you are not like very well versed with timing the market, so and if you lose out on those days, then definitely it can be fatal for the returns as well. So Brijesh, इसको और यहाँ पे stretch नहीं करेंगे, but if you have some additional point, we can surely take that.
है ना,
वाजपेयी जी के पास जाएंगे, वो भी काफी देर से वेट कर रहे हैं।
आई एम नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन आर्ग्यूइंग एनीबॉडी, बस सर्विस भाई से केवल इतना पूछना था, इन फ्रॉम विच सिटी बिलोंग, कभी मौका लगेगा तो वन ऑन वन सामने बैठ के बात करेंगे। इट्स नॉट अ बेटर प्लेस टू डिस्कस इट इन एनी अदर स्पेस।
Right. I'll
अगर
try
सर्विन
to
भाई
connect
बताएंगे
offline. Yeah, Brijesh, I'll try to connect.
नहीं
तो
ब्रिजेश
बॉम्बे
ब्रिजेश जी,
दिल्ली या
मेरा कभी किसी से पर्सनल कुछ नहीं रहता, जहाँ भी
नहीं, मैं
बॉम्बे में हूँ।
चाहूंगा आपसे बोलना, मैंने आपका, आप बॉम्बे हो तो कभी मैं बॉम्बे आऊंगा तो
आप कहाँ पे हैं?
मैं इंदौर को बिलोंग करता हूँ। एक बार
आप
आपने
कहाँ पे हैं
शायद
फिलहाल?
इंदौर की कोई पोस्ट, मैं इंदौर को बिलोंग करता हूँ और बॉम्बे में रहा हुआ हूँ, और बॉम्बे रिंग में भी मैं जॉबिंग किया हुआ हूँ। आई हैव
मिलेंगे,
बीन
कोई
इन
दिक्कत नहीं है।
मार्केट 1987।
Right. Thank you.
अगर जब भी कभी बॉम्बे आऊंगा
हाँ,
आप मेरी टाइमलाइन आप फॉलो कर, आप एक फॉलो का बटन दबा दीजिए हमारा, हम लोग टच में रहेंगे, आपकी टाइमलाइन पे आप मेरे आते रहेंगे।
श्योर
मैं देखता
डन
रहूंगा। मैं बहुत सोशल मीडिया पर्सन नहीं हूँ, मेरे पास टाइम नहीं बचता है
राइट।
ऑनेस्टली, क्योंकि
एक बार
सोशल
आपका
मीडिया पे
मैंने
मैं
पोस्ट
दूंगा तो
देखा
बाकी
था,
अपना
आप
काम नहीं
इंदौर
कर
आए
पाऊंगा।
थे और
thank
इंदौर में आपने
you.
कुछ सराफा का पोस्ट किया था।
I'll surely,
नेक्स्ट टाइम कभी होगा तो
guys, I'll surely connect you both offline. Let's move on to the conversation. So वाजपेयी जी, would appreciate, आप काफी देर से इत्मीनान से सुन रहे हैं, तो आपके भी होंगे, तो लिमिटेड टाइम में आपसे भी अनुरोध करूंगा कि आपका चार्ट क्या बोल रहा है और क्या आप सोच रहे हैं। And meanwhile, Ishmohit has also joined, although not sure he's free or not, but again, if he's free, he can also join the conversation. Would love to hear him out.
तो प्रिंस, अभी 6 तारीख को आपने एक स्पेस किया था, अगर आपको ध्यान होगा, जिस दिन मिड कैप में काफी गिरावट हुई थी, तो आपने कहा था मार्केट क्यों गिरा है ना, वो आपने उसका यूट्यूब पे रिकॉर्डिंग में डाली है। तो उस दिन भी यही डिस्कशन हुआ था कि मार्केट क्यों गिरी, और उस दिन के डिस्कशन के समय भी हमने स्मॉल कैप के संबंध में कहा था कि 4 वीक कंटिन्यूअस हो गए थे उस दिन को मिला करके, 5वां वीक चल रहा था जब स्मॉल कैप का इंडेक्स परफॉर्म नहीं कर रहा था। ठीक है, तो अगर कोई इंडेक्स 5 वीक तक नहीं परफॉर्म कर रहा है तो उस दिन भी हम लोगों का यही कॉन्सेंसस था कि अभी हमें मिड कैप स्मॉल कैप से थोड़ा सा दूर रहना चाहिए और मिड कैप भी कमजोर था, तो उसके लिए भी बात हुई थी। तो 6 तारीख से आज अभी हमें कितना ट्रेडिंग सेशन हुआ, मतलब कुल मिला के शायद 4 ही 5 ट्रेडिंग सेशन हुए उसके बाद, और एक ये हमें तेज गिरावट देखने को मिली। तो देखिए मार्च के महीने में आप हर बार ऐसे ही होता है, आप पिछला मार्च भी उठा लीजिए, और जब भी मार्च में देखिए तो ये कुछ टाइम ऐसा होता है जहां पर प्रॉफिट बुकिंग भी होनी है, और लॉन्ग शॉर्ट सब बराबर करना है, किसी को टैक्स का बचाना है अपना, तो उसके हिसाब से अपनी पोजीशन को चेंज भी करते हैं। तो इस प्रकार से ये एक जो पीरियड होता है ना 15 मार्च तक, तो पहले एक यही प्रेशर रहता है, उसके बाद फिर लास्ट का एक वीक जो और बीच का बचता है उसमें भी यही चीज होती रहती है। कुछ लोग और जो स्मॉल लेवल के होते हैं तो वो भी अपना एडजस्टमेंट करते रहते हैं। अक्सर ब्रोकर के यहाँ से भी मैसेज आता है कि भाई आप अपना जो है टैक्स कम करने के लिए ऐसे एडजस्ट कर लिए, ऐसे एडजस्ट कर लीजिए, मतलब अपनी जो भी लॉस की चीजें उनको भी बेच करके एडजस्ट कर लीजिए और फिर दोबारा बाई कर लीजिए। तो इस प्रकार की चीजें होती हैं। तो मार्च का महीना तो अक्सर इस वजह से भी वोलेटिलिटी उसमें रहती ही रहती है। अब जहां तक रह गई बात स्टॉक को चुनने की, तो देखिए ये एक बहुत ही स्पेसिफिक प्रॉब्लम है और हर एक को इसको समझना ही पड़ेगा स्टॉक सिलेक्शन करने के समय, और साथ में उसमें फंड एलोकेशन के लिए, क्योंकि आप अगर सारा पैसा एक ही दो में लगा देंगे तो आपके लिए हमेशा समस्या रहेगी। अभी जैसा सरविंदर जी ने बताया है कि जो भी तो 4 स्टॉक का उन्होंने नाम लिया, इस तरह के अगर जोड़ेंगे तो आप 89 से चलेंगे तो बहुत सारे जो 89 के डार्लिंग स्टॉक थे, फिर 2000 के डार्लिंग स्टॉक थे, तो मार्केट से ही गायब हो गए। मतलब कुछ तो 1,500 2,000 के स्टॉक जो थे वो जीरो हो गए, कि उनका पता ही नहीं कहाँ चले गए। तो ये चीज तो हमेशा ध्यान रखनी पड़ेगी। और इसीलिए देखिए जब भी यहाँ डिसीजन होता है, आपने इतने स्पेसिस कराए, तमाम लोगों ने जाकर के अपने अपने व्यूज बताई कैसे हमको स्टॉक सिलेक्शन करना चाहिए। अगर वो किसी की समझ में नहीं आएगा तो फिर ये समस्या तो हरदम बनी रहेगी। जहां तक सवाल है इंडेक्स का 20% या 15% का करेक्शन होने का, ये बात भी कई बार हम लोगों ने डिस्कस की। जब भी गिरी है मार्केट तो वो बता के नहीं गिरती है, वो जब भी गिरेगी तो इसी तरह से गिरती है, 5% एक दिन में गिर जाए, किसी दिन 7% एक दिन गिर गई। और स्टॉक्स का तो कई बार ऐसा हुआ 20% का सर्किट ही लग गया। और अच्छे अच्छे स्टॉक में आप देखिए, अभी आपके सामने भारत फोर्स का रिजल्ट आया था, उसी दिन वो 15% गिर गया। कंपनी में ऐसी कोई बहुत बड़ी खराबी नहीं है, मैं फिर कह रहा हूँ कंपनी का अगर कोई फंडामेंटल चेक करेगा तो कहीं से कोई ऐसी बड़ी आफत नहीं आ गई, लेकिन 15% एक दिन में गिर गया। तो भाई 15। अच्छा दूसरी बात यह है कि ऑप्शन एंड फ्यूचर, अभी सर्वेंद्र जी, तो हम लोग का संयोग अच्छा है कि सर्वेंद्र जी टीवी पर भी आते हैं और हम लोगों के बीच में भी आते हैं। अब सर्वेंद्र जी टीवी पर तो जितना भी मतलब वहां की जैसी भी स्थिति होगी, जैसे क्वेश्चन आंसर होते हैं उसके हिसाब से जवाब देते होंगे। बट अदर देन सर्वेंद्र जी जितने और लोग बैठते हैं जहां पर लाइव टेलीकास्ट होता है, दिन भर लोगों को बाई करवाया जाता है, दिन भर तुरंत कहा जाएगा भाई अभी के अभी कॉल खरीदो। अब लोग क्या है ना कि ये तो वैसे ही हर आदमी चाहता है हम जल्दी पैसा बनाए। सर्वेंद्र जी बहुत पुराने हैं और मैं भी काफी पुराना हूं। तो चिट फंड जो है, चिट फंड कंपनियां आज से नहीं 70 से 75 से बनती रही और पैसा ले लेके लोगों को जाती रही। अधिक लाभ दिलाने के चक्कर में तमाम पैसा लोग लूट ले गई। सेम थिंग आज ऑप्शंस में हो रही है। ऑप्शन बाई कराया जाता है कि एक ही दिन में पैसा आपका 20% बढ़ेगा, 30% बढ़ेगा, बट वो जीरो हो जाता है या आधा हो जाएगा। मतलब इस प्रकार का माहौल बनता है, बिना स्टडी के, बिना किसी उसके, आदमी केवल देख देख करके उसको टीवी से देख लेगा, कहीं किसी से टिप ले लेगा, कहीं टेलीग्राम चैनल पर टिप ले लेगा और काम करने लगेगा, क्योंकि उसके पास कैपिटल छोटी होती है और एलोरमेंट सबको है कि भाई हम इससे पैसा बनाएं किसी प्रकार से, तो वो ऑप्शन की तरफ ज्यादा भागता है। स्टॉक लेके रखना, अब जैसे अभी इसी साल भर की बात कर लेते हैं, ब्रजेश जी भी जो है चले गए, शायद चले गए हम। 1 साल पहले आरईसी पर हम लोगों ने कई बार स्पेसेस में डिसीजन किया जब वो 125-30 रुपए के अराउंड था। देन एनडीएमसी के ऊपर, एनएमडीसी के ऊपर जब वो 108 रुपए था, जुलाई और जून में हमने उसमें बहुत लंबा डिसीजन किया और उसको पॉजिटिव माना था कि भाई ये यहाँ पर इस इन्वेस्टमेंट के लायक है। बट यहाँ इन्वेस्टमेंट करने की जगह पर लोगों को तो ऑप्शन में और फ्यूचर में चाहिए खरीदना, तो वो लंबा रख नहीं सकते, थोड़ा थोड़ा प्रॉफिट ले लेंगे, नुकसान होगा बड़ा होगा। 108 रुपए पर मैंने एनएमडीसी को डिस्कस किया था। डिस्कस करने का मतलब यही होता है कि जो लोग भी क्लोज सर्किट में है वो उसको समझे और उसमें अगर समझ में आए तो अपना लगाए पैसा। 108 से वो 250 रुपए तक आया, 2.5 गुना पैसा हो गया मात्र 8-10 महीने के अंदर। अभी प्रिंस जी जब अक्टूबर में मार्केट गिरी थी, उसके बाद नवंबर की स्टार्टिंग पहला वीक था, वहां पर जितने स्टॉक थे आप देखिए वहां से बीपीसीएल कितना चला, एचपीसीएल कितना चला, मतलब एक चलने की स्पीड जो पिछले 2 साल में उसमें राइज नहीं हुआ वो 3 महीने में हो गया। तो मार्केट में मौका मिलता है, मौके का फायदा कैसे उठाना है, इसके लिए थोड़ा सा स्किल डेवलप करनी पड़ेगी। ऐसा नहीं है कि आप जो है आपको कोई मतलब स्पून फीडिंग नहीं करके दे देगा। अगर स्पून फीडिंग के चक्कर में रहेंगे तो हमेशा प्रॉब्लम रहेगी। और अगर आप अच्छे स्टॉक में बड़ी कंपनी में लगाएंगे पैसा, आपका छोटी मोटी कंपनी जो 10 रुपए की 100 रुपए होगी, आप उसके अंदर जाएंगे तो स्वाभाविक सी बात है, उसका अगर फंडामेंटल आप नहीं समझा कुछ तो पैसा मरने का ही तैयारी है उसमें। अगर अच्छे स्टॉक में लगाएंगे थोड़ा बहुत नीचे भी जाएगा तो फिर आपको समय मिलेगा, मौका मिलेगा और पैसा निकलता ही है। तो
जी वाजपेयी जी।
बाद में करूं तो 200 शेयर से 200 शेयर 8,000 रुपए के लिए हुए लोगों ने 18 लाख रुपए आज उनके हैं, उन्होंने कोई काम नहीं किया, केवल 200 शेयर लिए थे बस HDFC बैंक के, और उसके बाद वो कुछ नहीं किया, आज 18 लाख के उस पर बैठे हुए हैं। तो अब आप ये बताइए कि पैसा ऐसा नहीं, इन्वेस्टमेंट कब कहां सही हो गया। और ऐसे भी है जो जीरो हो गए पैसे, कुछ लोग ऐसे भी जिन्होंने लिया उनका पैसा जीरो हो गया, क्योंकि 2000 के आसपास जितने स्टॉक तेज थे, एक से एक, जब हमारा वो Y2K का आया था तो उस समय छोटी छोटी कंपनियां, जो उस कंपनी ने आपका नाम लगा लिया खाली टेक्नोलॉजी का, वो कंपनी जो है 600 रुपए 700 रुपए भाव पे हो गई। तो कहने का तात्पर्य ये जो भी मौके मिलेंगे, इन मौकों में हमें कैसे पैसा लगाना, कहाँ लगाना, ये तो हमको अपने आप डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा। और अगर हमने उसमें स्टडी करना सीख लिया, चाहे वो देखिए फंडामेंटल और टेक्निकल दोनों को मिला करके ही काम करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि टेक्निकल भी अपना काम करते हैं। ये केवल आज 6 तारीख से, आज क्या तारीख हुई आप देख लीजिए, 13 तारीख है आज। आपका जो 6 का स्पेस है उसकी रिकॉर्डिंग में मैंने बहुत थोड़ा ही बोला था, अगर कोई इसको सुन लेगा तो आइडिया मिल जाएगा कि उस दिन हमने स्मॉल कैप के संबंध में क्या व्यू रखा था और उसमें स्मॉल कैप में आज क्या हुआ, या उस बीच में क्या होता गया। खाली आज ही एक ही दिन में नहीं हो गया है, लगातार वो घटती रही है। तो बंधुआ टेक्निकल और फंडामेंटल मिला करके अगर आप पैसे को लगाएंगे तो आप इस मार्केट से पैसा निकाल सकते हैं। अन्यथा तो भाई देखिए, जो एडवाइजर्स हैं सब लोग देंगे अपने हिसाब से, जो देता है वो बेस्ट ही देता है। मैं ये नहीं कहता हूँ कोई आपको फंसाने के लिए देगा, बट वो साथ में आपको स्टॉप लॉस बताता है। अब जैसा अभी सर्वेन सर ने बताया कि स्टॉप लॉस आप कैसे लगाओगे, ओवरनाइट वो नीचे खुल गया, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है कि भाई आपने आज लिया और कल का कैसे लगाओगे। तो आपका अगर एफएनडो का स्टॉक तो एक बार आप वहां हेजिंग भी कर सकते हो, लेकिन कैश के स्टॉक में तो आप हेजिंग भी नहीं कर सकते। तो ऐसी स्थिति में ऐसे ही स्टॉक को लीजिए कि जो कम से कम अगले 20 साल 25 साल कंपनी चल सके, एटलीस्ट 10 साल का तो कम से कम उसका रहना ही चाहिए। पीछे का इतिहास भी देख लीजिए तो थोड़ा सा बेहतर रहेगा। और मैं ये मानता हूं कि जो भी गिरावट आएगी, अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलती है, अच्छे स्टॉक भी उसमें गिरते हैं, तो अच्छे स्टॉक को ढूंढ करके उसमें अपना पैसा लगाना चाहिए। और बाकी देखिए, मार्केट को पूरा टाइम करना ठीक है, सरवेन जी इतने अनुभवी हैं, इतने पुराने हैं, तो ये टाइम कर सकते हैं, बट जो नए लोग हैं इनको इतना आसान नहीं कि वो टाइम कर लें मार्केट को। तो कहीं ना कहीं उन्हें शिफ्ट करना पड़ेगा, SIP करें चाहे स्टॉक्स में हो, और चाहे आप फिर नहीं समझ में आ रहा तो भाई ETF में चले जाइए, ETF कर लीजिए। और जहां तक गोल्ड की बात है तो गोल्ड के बारे में तो बिल्कुल सही है, कोई डाउट नहीं है, गोल्ड में भी अपना कुछ ना कुछ रखना चाहिए। लेकिन प्लस इसी बात का, स्मॉल कैपिटल वाले लोग जो स्मॉल कैपिटल से ज्यादा पैसा निकालना चाहते हैं ऑप्शन के माध्यम से, तो उनके लिए थोड़ी सी जरूर दिक्कत रहती है।
जी वाजपेयी जी, धन्यवाद आपके व्यूज के लिए। So Vineet, you have also been waiting. So Vineet, like broadly, although we have covered that pretty well last time also, but if I were to ask you about your the sectors you have exposure, the maximum exposure in your portfolio, and do you think this correction has helped you with the more value coming up in those names as far as valuation is concerned?
Is that for me, Prince?
Yes, yes, for you only.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Look, I'm a, I am a compulsive buyer in on dips, to be honest with you. That's like I told you, when I spoke earlier as well, कि मेरा तो यार यही स्टाइल है, and while you can try to time it at a macro level, that's absolutely fine, और थोड़ा सा around volatility trade करना is good, और वो करने की कोशिश तो हम सब करते ही है। पर I don't try to take macro market calls, more so because it's not that you won't get it right. आप एक बार करोगे, 2 बार करोगे, शायद आप को सही डायरेक्शन आप पकड़ पाओगे, and you might be able to avoid one of these falls, but then it's equally likely that you will miss one of the up moves as well, waiting on the sidelines. और I think ये जो पूरी रैली हुई है पिछले 6 महीने में, बहुत सारे लोग थे 6 or 7 or 8 months back, sometime in April or May of last year, जो अपनी पोजीशंस लिक्विडेट करके कैश में बैठे हुए थे, एंड दे केप्ट वेटिंग फॉर दैट परफेक्ट मोमेंट, कि आसमान से एक मैसेंजर आएगा और उनको बताएगा कि बॉटम हैज बीन फॉर्म्ड और प्लीज जाके आप अपने positions बना लीजिए, and they could never build that position and they missed the entire up move. And when you miss that up move, उसके बाद your mind starts playing tricks with you. शुरू में आपको लगता है कि अरे ये बढ़ रहा है, ये इवेंचुअली गिर जाएगा, हमको वापस एंट्री मिल जाएगी, वो एंट्री फिर 1-2 महीने तक नहीं आएगी, things keep going up, and then that feeling of FOMO will start kicking in, and then that's the moment when you start making decisions which you then go on to regret later when a fall like today happens. इसलिए मेरा तो यार ब्रॉड व्यू यही है कि आप around volatility आप थोड़ा ट्रेड कर लीजिए if you can, but don't try to take macro cash calls, because even if you get it right once, you will probably get it wrong the second time. And when you get it wrong, and because you get it right once, आपको confidence आएगा कि आप ये हर बार करने की कोशिश करेंगे, and the amount of upsides that you will miss, and then the mistakes that you will make will far outweigh the money that you can potentially save in a very short term correction that happens in the markets. जो sectors मुझे पसंद है, so my portfolio is public. It's pinned to my Twitter timeline. I am largely bullish on real estate. I'm quite bullish on certain aspects of pharma, very specific pockets. I always was bullish on power, but I had missed the rally on the upside. तो अब ये जो correction आया है, this is giving me an opportunity to deploy funds into a couple of players in the energy space that I really like. मुझे थोड़ा जो EPC side of the energy space है वो थोड़ा better लग रहा है as compared to a lot of the pure play power generators or even renewable focused companies actually, and none of these are SMEs. I should clarify that ये सारी small caps है. They're 3, 4, 5, 6,000 crore market cap companies. कोई SMEs as such power sector में मुझे नहीं पसंद है. And इसके अलावा there are there's the odd NBFC which I like as well. इन सब में मेरे ख्याल से opportunities काफी बन रही है with this fall. Yeah, so my portfolio is basically quite diversified in terms of sectors. I have one textiles platform play as well. I have only one chemical company जो actually SME है, but it's a pretty small position, but it's giving me now an opportunity to scale that up. So maybe in the next few days I will scale that position up slightly as well. So yeah, that's what my portfolio is looking like at the moment, about 13 or 14 positions.
So Vineet, have you studied the oil exploration space? And would you like to talk about that? And there have been a lot of talks about the natural gas, crude oil thing.
So I like the oil exploration space. I don't subscribe to the view that we are in a renewables only future. The data does not suggest that at all. In fact, आपने भी spaces की थी कुछ समय पहले with Dhruv Ravani as well, who's a sectoral expert, and I've been in touch with Dhruv and a couple of other people to try and understand कि energy mix of the future कैसा दिखेगा. And while there's no denying that renewables में बहुत growth आएगी और आनी ही भी चाहिए, but at the same time the rate at which power demand is growing, and all forms of power, not just electricity, but I don't think ICE vehicles are going anywhere. In fact, just a couple of, I think कल या परसों की बात है जब a lot of the major auto manufacturers in the West have also once again started speaking about scaling up ICE platform vehicles, and it's not that the future of mobility is going to be 100% EV, and even if that's the case, immediately तो नहीं होगा, इसको 20-25 साल लगेंगे होने में. So I think oil has a future, and especially India के लिए actually oil काफी ज़्यादा important है क्योंकि हमारा the largest sucker of our forex is oil. We pay disproportionate amounts of money as a country for oil, and ये हमारी larger economic and national security के लिए एक काफी strong imperative है. And the government I think has been extremely clear in articulating that we will continue to do what we can to find oil reserves, to promote natural gas, and there are a few companies of course जो बड़ी PSUs तो है ही in the space, and जिस प्रकार से investments हो रहा है in the space, I think all of them can do quite well. मुझे एक दो छोटी oil exploration companies में ज़्यादा interest है, which I think are available at extremely cheap valuations after this fall actually. One of them is literally trading at 8 times trailing earnings, and the trailing earnings themselves are suppressed क्योंकि उस company की and I'm not sure if I should be taking names here. You can advise me on that, but anyway, like I said, my portfolio is public and anybody can go to my page and have a look at what that company is. पर उनका earnings in any case suppressed है because a part of their fields were facing technical issues, which they've been speaking about in the recent con calls, is getting resolved and should come back on stream in the next 3 to 6 months. So ऐसी opportunities अभी भी available है in the space, and it's because these kind of corrections are happening is why you can take advantage and buy into companies which have margin of safety. And I'll like to reiterate, मेरा process is in terms of the companies that I'm picking, not just now but every time. I like to buy cash-rich companies which have low debt. I like to buy companies which have immediate growth triggers. By immediate, I mean in the next 6 months at the latest. If there's a growth trigger 1 year later, then maybe I'll probably not be a buyer right now. But अगर अगले 6 से 9 महीने में मुझे दिख रहा है earnings triggers होंगे, I'm happy to buy now, even if the charts are not very good, because it gives me more time to build up a position. And I like businesses that are intrinsically high ROE. जहाँ यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स अच्छा है, एंड क्योंकि वो कैश रिच होंगी और यूनिट इकोनॉमिक्स अच्छी होंगी, सो वो बिजनेस कैश जनरेट करेगा, उस कैश को वो बिजनेस में रीडिप्लॉय कर पाएंगे, एंड दैट विल फ्यूल growth. And most importantly, obviously starting valuations बहुत जरूरी होती है, and I think this correction has helped build positions in certain places जहाँ the valuations were not comfortable, but I really liked the businesses. And अब थोड़ा जो correction आ रहा है, it's giving me an opportunity to add those positions slowly. But that said, जो I think ब्रिजेश जी ने भी बोला था कुछ समय पहले, that it's not wise to deploy all your money in one go. At the same time, I don't think it's wise to sit on the sidelines and wait for that perfect moment to arrive when the market makes that perfect bottom. It's not going to happen. It's very difficult to call. So yeah, my suggestion to everybody is, अगर आपको value आज लग रही है, तो आप धीरे धीरे deploy करना शुरू करें in the best risk reward opportunities that you can find.
Right, Vineet. So we are also joined by Mohit. So Mohit, you have been listening conversation for some time, and again the correction which has happened this week and a few days in the last week. How you seeing this correction, and obviously what you are seeing going forward also, and how you are placing yourself?
हाय प्रिंस यार तुमने 2-3 क्वेश्चन पूछे इसमें सो इन टर्म्स ऑफ करेक्शन personally I don't time the markets at all. I'm not that smart, let's put it that way. At the same time, I do diversify myself, primarily international diversification. I mean, my portfolio is primarily US, a bit in UK, primarily in oil slash commodities, and then a part in India. So I mean that's how I do it. If I look at the current one, it hasn't really fallen massively compared to the rise it has made. So I would say I mean it is normal when things are overheated to an extent. At the same time, I mean there is a uh, mm, perfect number of events that have come together. I don't need to name those events around bonds and operators, etc. So, I mean, it is. I think personally, I think it's a temporary blip. Structurally, nothing has really changed. There was certainly a bit more euphoria in the market, and if you are in the names which are not euphoric and froth, and if you understand the business, probably this is going to swing the pendulum to the other side, and it's going to give you a bit more chance to add the money, to basically add to those positions. In terms of, I mean, that's primarily how I see it. But if you have any specific question, happy to answer that. And I must say that I'm due a space with you on the energy sector. We can certainly talk about oil, gas, renewables, hydrogen, and even intersection and interplay between all of these, and how it. I mean, it's a complex topic, but we can certainly talk about this and probably even bring an Indian lens to that.
Certainly, Mohit, we can speak about that, and especially if you have something to share on data center, and also Vineet can discuss, so that would be great help. And also, we are planning to reach out to Maya for that, so we'll try to have a holistical discussion specifically on data center alone. But again, we can have some discussion now. Yeah.
Okay, understood.
So, Mohit, broadly, any views around renewables, and I mean, after this correction, so do you see more value as emerge, or we can see more correction? I mean, which way you are seeing that?
What you got to understand about most of the renewable players is, it's a difficult market to make any money. And just because somebody is announcing certain projects, and it is green, it doesn't mean it's going to make money, right? Particularly in India, I mean, the cost of solar is like 2 to 3 rupees per kilowatt. I mean, what money are you really going to make if you're providing that into the grid? So, and the EPC business is um, is, I mean, you can't really put a lot of a big multiple on it, because you do a project, you get the sub 10% EBITDA, 10% if you are really disciplined, sub 10% EBITDA, and then you bid for more projects, right? And the worst part is, when the downturn happens, these projects just disappear. So what you are left with is holding the bag. So I generally stay away from the EPC companies. There are a couple of companies which are okayish, um, particularly around the gas business, because they are not taking the commodity risk, which means they are working around it. They are not specifically taking the molecule and the commodity risk. So that's good. But beyond that, I suppose, if you look at oil, I mean, you got to understand one thing: India is not a geologically proven oil basin. I mean, end of story. I mean, literally, that's the case. So, the only real big discovery that has happened in India in a very long time has been the cane oil fields in Rajasthan, and I mean, that's just happened by luck and chance. And there's a very interesting story, because these were discovered by Shell at some point in time, and they walked away, didn't realize that they've discovered it, and then Cane India came in. So, I mean, I won't. I generally don't touch it, because there are enough stories available at 5, 7 p, and even less in the oil market. And more importantly, one thing you got to understand is, in the commodities, you buy when the P is high, and you sell when the P is low, because essentially, the difference is the commodity price, right? um, so yeah, I mean, P shouldn't be at all looked at in the case of commodities particularly. So that's my view, but let's have a chat in a bit more detail at some point in time. And just on hydrogen, since I probably missed it, I mean, look, it doesn't make money. It is an experiment at scale, currently subsidized by most of the governments. Indian government is not giving a CFD. It's giving a PLI scheme, which is not even like 5% of the costs. Beyond that, I suppose, you got to have massive experience in marketing, of these commodities, which none of the companies have. So it is a very difficult battle to crack, i.e., the offtake, and also it's a manufacturing at scale business, which only a very few companies can do profitably. Um, I mean, I don't need to take the names of those companies. So, I mean, beyond that, I suppose it is going to take time. So it's good to stay away from some of this for some time.
Right, Mohit. Vineet, you have anything to add to it?
Oh, I think some of the points that Mohit has made are very, very relevant. I completely, endorse his point around the profit pools in the renewable space are quite fragmented, and in fact, that's I think the space where the correction probably was most due, and it's good in a way that things are cooling off a little bit, but even there, a lot of the future growth, perceived growth, not growth exactly, I think has been factored in to prices. uh, that said, if I was to bet on the space, I will prefer the better run EPC players to let's say manufacturers of panels uh, or wind turbines or anything of the sort. But even in EPC, margins obviously will not necessarily go into uh, deep double digit territory. So is essentially a business of execution, and if you can churn your money around fast, and if you can keep your working capital cycles low, is when your ROEs will expand. And there are only a handful of players who are who've reached a level of scale now where they are able to command uh, you know the right terms with both their customers as well as their suppliers. So a lot of these stories that have been built around the smaller, newer, more nimble EPC players in the renewable space, I think that space might have a bit of a root shock going forward. And if I mean if I'm betting on the space, I'm trying to bet on slightly more established players who have a longer track record of execution, of being able to collect their monies on time, and obviously which have orders from other large companies and the government, which are more protected and less subject to a downturn, even if it's a temporary downturn in the cycle. And even in the EPC space, if there's a player that is doing work across more than one aspect of the energy ecosystem. So if there's somebody who's doing work, for example, on transmission lines as well as, let's say, smart meters and some other things, then I think that diversifies your risk a little bit as well. And this correction is helping in identifying some of those names at slightly better prices, where one can look to get a 30-35% growth in top line at least, and then obviously if the execution is good, the bottom line should grow by as much or more if there is any operating leverage that plays out. And on the commodity space as well, India is not a proven geological oil uh, hub. That's absolutely true. That said, there are still players which are small enough, and their base itself is so small that the cash flows that they can generate with any additional throughput, assuming global oil prices remain broadly stable and don't fall off a cliff, which is something that is in general very difficult to predict. But yeah, if any of these smaller players are able to churn out significant amounts of cash flows in the next 3 to 4 years, which looks likely, then I think some of them become value plays at the moment. But this definitely does not apply across the board to every company in the space. And because power and energy and renewables has been built up so much by the markets, almost every company has rallied. Right now, when this temporary fall is happening, every company is falling. But when the cycle turns, it's not necessary that every company will rally again. And this is where the wheat will be separated from the chaff. So my suggestion to anybody who's interested in the space is to focus on the quality of the business first. Please look at the track record. Please look at how long these companies have been in operation. Have they faced, major execution challenges or cash flow hurdles in the last 8 to 10 years? And if you're satisfied on the pedigree of the management and the track record of these businesses, and the kind of orders that they have are large and robust from institutions that are large and robust, which won't not won't, but which are less likely to just cancel a bunch of these orders if the cycle was to slow down a little bit. If you can find those kind of plays, those are much better than the smaller, newer age EPC firms which have just literally come up 3 or 4 years back and have an order book of a few hundred crores and are trading at thousands of crores of market cap already.
Right, Vineet. Mohit, anything to add to it, or shall we move on?
On EPC, of course, clearly we have a differing view. The only other thing to consider on EPC is it gives you a double whammy. So when there's a downturn, essentially your customers disappear, right? And since your customer disappear, your so-called pipeline disappears, and that's where you're left holding the bag. Uh, 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 unfair but a relevant example is exactly same thing happened with Cisco in 2000. So it was the darling of the stock market just because of the way they had got the orders in terms of execution. But what happened in 2000 essentially is quite a lot of their customers disappeared in the dot-com burst. And that's why it completely collapsed, and it hasn't even till today reached that valuation. So that's where we have a differing view, which is absolutely fine. In terms of oil, um, I think we have a similar view, but a bit different as well. The reason I don't play the Indian market is because I think a government is quite bad in terms of how they make the policies, and they keep changing the policies midway in terms of royalties, windfall taxes, and so there's no consistency. If they really want to take the money, they'll just going to put a royalty and take it off the top, which is exactly what they did. So they didn't even allow the things to reach the bottom. Luckily I have access to the markets outside of India, and I get way more better um, commodity oil slash gas plays, way more diversified, both in terms of geographies, resource types, and even execution. Plus, I mean, if you are getting a big player at 6% yield, six PE, multi-billion-dollar company, then what's not to like about it? And by the way, they also hedge it through trading. They have a massive trading business which essentially makes money and improves the IRR by 2 to 3% on the projects, whether the price is falling or whether the price is going up. So yeah, I mean, other than that, I think we have a similar view.
Right, Mohit. Thanks for that. And Amit has his hand raised. So Amit, you can quickly say, and Vipinji, you haven't spoken yet. So Akhilesh is there. So Amit, let Akhilesh speak. He has been waiting quite a while. Akhilesh, over to you.
Oh, thanks a lot, Prince. Can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Finally.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks a lot. So, good evening, everyone. And I was really happy to hear some sane voices from Vineet and Mohit ji. And based on the things I see in the current market, these are excesses which always gets balanced, whether it is fear or greed, and those things are happening because even our own behavior changes when we see our portfolio stocks going 20% upper circuit, 5%, 10% upper circuit, sometimes beyond possible reasons. They just get orders and they they are just in upper circuit. It used to happen in 2007. So if you understand the market cycles, companies like L&T or even smaller companies like SCC or IBRs, infra, they used to get orders and they used to be 10% upper circuit. Nobody thinks about margin, profitability, or the overall order books. Nothing. Similarly, in other sectors also, whether it is platform sectors, technology sectors, nobody is looking at the profitability or the long-term durability of the business. People are just thinking, companies like say Zomato, they are acquiring customers. They will be huge in future. There are other platform companies, so once they turn profitable, there will be huge profits. But what kind of scalability they will achieve by investing the money that they are investing, nobody is thinking about those things. Similarly, people are talking about railways, people are talking about defense, people are talking about even the renewal. Nobody is thinking that how long these cycles will play, whether they will play for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And if you are investing with your time horizon for say 3 or 5 years, I'm fine with it. But if you are investing with a 5 year time horizon of 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, then you have to think of different strategy for your portfolio. You have to have a long-term portfolio, you have to have a short-term positional portfolio. If you want to double in short-term trades also, to make some profits and make yourself happy that I can actually identify some trends and make some profits. And it has been happening with me also. So first time I realized after seeing 3 cycles of markets from 2007 to 2015, 16, and then 2020 crash also, that I was very happy to showcase my portfolio screenshots to some of my close friends when they are going up, when the markets are down and when markets are up. So I realized these are excesses, and on 2nd of February I actually put a tweet about buying PI Industries, which was down even after a decent result, which is a large cap kind of a chemical company. I've started buying some of the affordable housing or the real estate companies which uh, Vinny talked about, and some of the renewable companies also I'm interested now. I bought a renewable solar energy company after so many years of observation, almost 3 years of observation, in December only, after the BJP won election in 3 states, and I saw that there will be now almost clear cut direction for these kind of decisions that governments can take. And this is I won't take the name, but this has already become from 4th or 10th of December, it has already become 4 times in that small period. It is a large company, but still the market cap is only 14,000-15,000 crore. And if you see the overall solar penetration in India, it is still way beyond less. So there is huge space for companies to do well in these kinds of energy requirement. If you're thinking about data center companies, if you're thinking about blockchain technology companies, all these, or railways or bullet trains, everybody thinks about these things, but nobody thinks about that these all will run on energy. So energy transition is happening, whether it is from this coal to solar to wind or new energy sectors like hydrogen, or those things will be uh, very important, I should say. And then infrastructure companies, some of the infrastructure companies are now at valuation that you have not seen even in last 2-3 years, like KNR Construction in one of the companies that I like. I have mentioned these names specifically because they are reasonably valued, and even if people buy now, they will not be losing money. So other names I'm not mentioning because some of the names are at a very high valuations. Uh, these excesses come and go. You just have to fine tune your behavior in terms of buying the companies at right valuation and seeing the market cycle, and also believing in the business realities. You cannot just buy a company just because it got 1,000 crore order, and that has become as a L1 order on a EPC basis where there are no margins. You might be incurring losses also. So those are very pertinent points to think about. As far as gold, people have talked about gold as an investment. I would disagree that gold is a pure play investment for longer terms, because equity can give far better returns. Although gold has given decent returns, more than 10% or close to 10% in 50 years period, 20 years. But sometimes you just have to wait for, and gold is not an asset class, I would say, in the sense that it is a value in the eye of beholder. There is no underlying business which is actually increasing the value of that. It is demand and supply and scarcity. So maybe this will offend a lot of people, but this is my view. That's it from my side, Prince. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity. And
Thanks, Akhilesh.
एक बात और बोलूंगा, आपकी हिंदी बहुत परिष्कृत है. आप प्रतीक्षा और अनुरोध जैसे शब्द यूज कर रहे थे, तो आई रियली लाइक दैट.
Alright, thank you so much, Akhilesh, and for our audience. Like I'm also listening him live for the first time. So Akhilesh is a part to the Smart Sync Services team, which Ankit and he like runs together, and there is a team also, and he's the face behind all the hard work Smart Sync Services has been doing. So kudos for the great work, Akhilesh, and I would love to hear you more on these platforms, and definitely going forward if we happen to cross roads, so definitely we'll meet on that front also. Yeah,
Thanks a lot,
Mohit.
Prince, for kind words. Thank you.
Thanks, Akhilesh. Yeah, Mohit, you have your hand raised, and then we go to Amit.
The only thing I'll say is, I mean, when we talk of green energy, and I've seen this here, having working in this sector for how many number of years, I mean, I have to say this: the noise to cash flow ratio in India is like so high in all this. It's basically the stories being sold without any substantiation around the numbers. So stay away from where the stories are, focus on the numbers. Otherwise, these will be the first batch of companies which will disappear after 5 years, and you will be having nice NFT tokens in your demats.
Thanks, Mohit. Yeah, Amit, you can quickly keep your limited points.
Definitely. I mean, one single point I want to tell on gold. जब तक शादी रहेगा, जब तक हमारे इंडिया में, जब तक ज्वेलरी रहेगा, गोल्ड प्राइस ऊपर ही जाएगा. So it's a asset, it's a store of value. I certainly agree, but it has certain uses as well. We know that, but it's not just a dummy piece. Like it's a hedge against inflation. That's a secondary. People where the money value has lost. We know what is the value of 500 rupees now. It's a no use. No, I'll not go to the currency. Now let me come to the point of fintech company, which is very. I'm eagerly looking into the investment part. I'm just waiting for my bull market to close. I know what happened in stock market, but cryptocurrency bull market just started, so I'm waiting to make ton shit of money from there, and most of my money will go into gold and silver and the fintech companies. And fintech companies, why I'm interested, because as simple as that, when we speak, we should look at the facts. For a simple instance, PhonePe is a company. You should see how many millions of users are using within India and how frequently we are using, number of transactions. In keeping that, what all they have included, how many kinds of insurance they are doing. So why I'm speaking this about PhonePe, because it's digital India. We are not physical currency India anymore. Anybody disagrees with me on this? Actually, we are digital India. We are moving towards digitalization, and everything is digitalization. The whole financial structure is changing. स्विफ्ट झक मार के बोल रहा है ISO 20022 सब लोग जल्दी माइग्रेट करो, जल्दी माइग्रेट करो. And I'm telling you guys, things are moving very fast. Each and every country are linked. FX transactions ले लो, of current currency, how each and every countries are now actually trading swap lines, because we're not trading with dollar, we are creating swap lines. That's a temporary to use our own currency. So we are going towards digital. Indian market is now digital. So my investment would be into place where I see real use of a technology, because it's a combination of finance and technology. How are we connected? So I think this will drive the Indian market in future. I think I would bet myself into that, and I would invest money in that companies where
Thank
we have
you.
technology and this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. Thank you. And in today's discussion, what I can gauge is like everybody is into gold. So a sincere request, like you guys can surely donate some portion of it to me, and I do not have any exposure at this point in time. So would appreciate that. Yeah, Mohit.
So on the theme of having a contra view, I would suggest my friend to just look at the financials of PhonePe, which are publicly available. 23 financials, and don't look at the forward projection, just look at the financials currently. They can have n number of things. UPI doesn't make money. UPI is just a convenience, for that matter. In terms of insurance, the large bulk of money is essentially made by the underwriter, and so on and so forth. So it looks great, but stick to the numbers rather than the stories.
Thanks, Mohit. And for our audience, like today we had multiple speakers, and everybody has their side of story. Obviously, everybody has shared their thoughts in good and positive intent. So I would, request all the audience to take these conversation as a starting point, because your process, your financial profile, your risk, and everything would be different from our speakers. So definitely blindly have a holistical view, and by no means if any names have been taken, or any asset class for that matter, gold or silver, as a buyer, and we are not registered advisors, so definitely we are not the right person to suggest you on your investment. But again, this is a forum which is providing us an opportunity to discuss things on educational front. So I hope the message is clear, and if you are joining for the first time, you can surely follow my handle and the handle of our co-host and our speakers for today, so that we can also keep on coming with good set of discussions. So we are also joined by Sheetal. Sheetal bhai, kaise ho? How are you doing?
Hi Prince bhai. Good evening all.
Oh, good evening. I think you joined late. Maybe you have missed on most of the discussion for today. But again, quick points from you. जो मार्केट में करेक्शन चल रहा है, और आप इस करेक्शन को कैसे देख रहे हैं, प्लस इसमें कैसे गोइंग फॉरवर्ड इंक्रीमेंटल इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, साइड लाइंस पे हैं, कैश पे है, हाउ यू आर डूइंग इट फॉर योरसेल्फ?
तो अभी मैं मार्केट को ऐसे ही देख रहा हूँ कि काफी दिन से बढ़ा है। हम अगर पिछले 2 साल 3 साल का रिटर्न देखें तो बेहिसाब कोई शेयर 30 गुना 40 गुना हुआ पड़ा है, और 5-6 गुना 8 गुना 10 गुना होने वाली की तो बारात लगी हुई। मतलब इतने हैं, गिनती नहीं गिन सकते। मतलब पूरे निफ्टी और बीएससी के उसमें, सॉरी एनएससी और बीएससी के प्लेटफॉर्म्स पे इतनी कंपनियां ऐसे, मतलब मल्टीबैगर। तो जैसे हाथ डालो 10 में से 4 कंपनियां तो 4-5 गुना हो ही जाएंगी। ये माहौल था, तो ये ऑब्वियस है कि ये बहुत लंबा नहीं चल सकता है, और अभी गिर रहा है तो मतलब हमें सरप्राइज भी नहीं होना चाहिए। इट्स नेचर ऑफ द मार्केट। मतलब शेयर चलता है, शेयर गिरता है, दैट्स इट हाउ इट वर्क्स। और मैं मतलब कि पहले क्या होता था, सारे ही गिर रहे थे, लार्ज कैप भी गिर रहे थे, मिड कैप भी गिर रहे थे। मतलब इस दौर से पहले जितनी बार गिरावट आई थी, हालांकि वो आई भी बहुत कम थी, लेकिन इस बार कम से कम ये है कि वही गिर रहा है जो चढ़ा है। फालतू में किसी को पीटा नहीं जा रहा, और जो गिर रहा है तो फिर अब वो भी इतने सबके सभी गिर रहे हैं तो कोई पूछ नहीं रहा भाई। पहले तो क्या था कि या नॉर्मल मार्केट में कोई एक शेयर 10% गिर जाए तो सब पूछने लगते हैं इसमें क्या न्यूज है, कोई कौन बेच रहा है, कौन खरीद रहा है, क्या रेटिंग वेटिंग तो ऊपर नीचे नहीं होगी। अब तो हर दूसरा तीसरा क्या है सारे ही शेयर 4-5%, तो इंडेक्स ही डाउन है। तो बिरला ही कोई है जो ग्रीन है, नहीं तो रेड तो सब रेड ही रेड है। तो कोई पूछ नहीं रहा कि हाँ कोई शेयर क्यों डाउन है, डाउन तो है ही है बाय डिफॉल्ट। तो करना क्या है, मैं तो कुछ नहीं कर रहा हूँ। आई एम डूइंग द सेम व्हाट आई वाज डूइंग अ मंथ बिफोर एंड ईयर बिफोर, 3 ईयर बिफोर, 5 ईयर बिफोर। मतलब कंपनी के फंडामेंटल्स पे फोकस करना, अर्निंग्स पे ध्यान देने, मैक्रो माइक्रो का जो व्यू लेके, जो भी हम जैसे आपके स्पेसेस सुनते हैं, और फिर हम अपने भी सेपरेट डिस्कशन करते रहते हैं। तो सबके बेस पे हम फंडामेंटल व्यू बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं। तो अब जैसे 2018 में भी प्रॉब्लम्स आई थी और इससे पहले भी स्मॉल कैप मिड कैप गिरे हैं, काफी गिरे हैं, लेकिन पहले जब भी गिरा है तो अर्निंग साथ साथ कंपनियों की अर्निंग्स भी गिरी हैं। आज के डेट में मुझे नहीं लगता कि कंपनी के अर्निंग्स में कहीं कोई समस्या है, और होगा तो मे बी आई एम नॉट एबल टू फोरसी इट। आगे बताएगा तो हो सकता है हमारा लॉस या पोटेंशियल प्रॉफिट जो है वो और कम हो जाए। आई एम रेडी टू टेक दैट बर्न, लेकिन कॉल तो मैं लूंगा फंडामेंटल्स के बेसिस पे। जस्ट बिकॉज कि शेयर गिर गया, दुनिया बेच रही है, तो हम भी भीड़ में शामिल हो जाएं और बेच दें। आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू डू दैट। आई विल वेट फॉर द रिजल्ट्स, आई विल वेट फॉर द micro views to see if something is changing. Then only I will decide whether to sell or switch my position to from small cap to large cap or whatever. Thank you.
Thanks, Sheetal. Thank you, really helpful. And we have also got our last speaker for the day. Gurjot has also joined. So Gurjot, क्या लग रहा है? How have been you doing in this mayhem happening across the market, especially the mid and small cap?
Hey Prince. Hey, good evening. Sorry, I joined the space late, right? So, how am I seeing this correction, right? So, basically, I feel that there have been two waves, right, of re-rating in the market, right? So, the first level of bull run, which happened from the March 20 COVID lows, right, lasted till October 21, right? In that phase, the micro caps, small caps, which were at dirt cheap valuations, right, in March 2020, they went to fair level or reasonable valuation, right? So mid caps or small caps, which were at 4 or 5 times earnings, went to like 15-20x, right? And wahan se, if they corrected in June, sorry, Feb of 2022, when the Ukraine-Russia war sort of crisis happened, right? They again went to reasonable valuation or slightly cheap valuation, right? But after that last year, I have a lot of micro caps which I bought at 4 to 5 times earnings in 2020. But at the end of last year or January of this year, they were at 40 to 50 times earnings. Granted, the earnings also came through, the businesses are doing well and everything. But the business was pretty much the same, right? They're just growing and compounding their earnings over the last 3 or 4 years. The same business which was available at 4 to 5 times, which was beaten black and blue during COVID, cannot be at 50 times today, right? And that's what is happening, that it is just a wave of bull run which started in 2020 is probably coming to an end. And that cycle of micro caps and small caps need to go back to fair valuation zone. They are slowly getting there. Most of them are starting to reach fair valuation. But will it end here? That's a question which even I cannot probably answer. Hopefully, for investors' sake, they will end up at fair valuation. Then earnings will catch up, and we don't see a lot of or hear a lot of bad news globally in terms of macroeconomic front. But there is no saying that this cycle will end here. This cycle could, and I've been very vocal on this as well, that this cycle could go back to those dirt cheap valuations with some major global crisis happening, some really bad news hitting us, because stock prices correct and then the news happens later, right? So I would not want to predict what's going to happen, but it's absolutely rational. And what Sheetal was saying earlier, that it's very normal for companies which have gone 20-30x to give back 30-40-50% of their gains. So people who are expecting like 40 times earnings, stock will become 80 times earnings and 160 times earnings. I don't know what they're smoking, and that is not a rational way to make money in the markets. If you do make that money, congratulations, well done. But I don't think that's going to be successful in the long run, right? So it's a very simple view that businesses which were dirt cheap 4 years back were quoting at very expensive valuations, even though earnings came through. And it is just expected. Even I, like, my portfolio is also down about 8-9%. So everybody is suffering. You look at good businesses. I've got my watch list. I've got my list of companies which are growing earnings at 25-30%. When they'll be at reasonable valuations of maybe 25 times earnings, 1 time price to earnings growth, I think that's a good time to start allocating good amount of money to those businesses, right? Because again, you cannot predict whether you'll go back to the dirt cheap valuation. But yeah, it is absolutely okay to expect this correction, and probably it will last a little bit longer as well. But it's hard to predict whether this cycle has completely ended and whether there'll be some extremely bad global news. The other point I wanted to make was this year 50% of the world is in elections, and during elections it's a highly volatile period for India as well, and for globally there is a US election later in the year. And so I would not want to be a very big brave bull. You need to be very brave bull to go all in right now, right? If you have got 100 rupees, probably now is the time. I deployed maybe 15 rupees today. So whatever cash that you're sitting on. So I would want to definitely go in chunks. And if the market suddenly reverses and goes up as well, it's fine. Having 5, 8, 10% cash is also a position, right? Definitely, I would not want to say that I go all in right now. But those
Fair
are my
point.
thoughts.
Fair point, Gurjot. So, Gurjot, you also have investment in gold?
No, no, gold is not an asset class that I want. If you look at the chart of gold, right, and I know a lot of people sort of present gold as a good hedge against inflation when equities are not doing well, all of that. But gold is just primarily run on the US currency appreciation, right, against the INR. If you just look at the long term chart in US dollar, gold has delivered nothing. It hardly be 2-3% kind of CAGR over the last 30-40 years. So it is only US dollar appreciation against INR, which is another 3-4%, which is primarily driven your sort of compounding in gold over the last 10-15 years. Otherwise, even in INR, when you were looking at gold around 2014, 2015, 7-8 years back, I don't think it was doing that well. So again, if you want to keep gold in your portfolio, yes, you can expect maybe 8 to 10% kind of growth over the long term. But I am not investing for 8 to 10% kind of returns, right? As an equity investor, yes, it's an asset class. People believe in it, fair enough. But I'm not a believer in gold, given the performance over the long term in USD. Yeah.
Thanks, Gurjot. And definitely, those who have not invested in gold, they can surely gift equities to me. Yeah. So, after
Prince,
listening to,
one last thing. I just wanted to put one point. I think the gold and dollar, there's a correlation. The gold goes high, the dollar loses value, and purchasing power of domestic purchasing power of dollar is 2 cents for $1, and it will drain more. Nobody is buying any their treasury bonds. Take a look at it, and soon you will see that is the reason people are actually, not people, the governments and the central banks of the world, not the BRICS. I'm talking 50, 60 plus countries, and that's something we call it as a, sandstorm. When they start sending, it's already happening, and they're moving away from dollar. Transactions in the global trade is now 20 to 30% are happening non-dollar. Dollar has lost its value. So obviously, the more the BRICS and the other countries move and peg their currencies to gold, the gold will only go high and high and high. And the demise of dollar isn't. Federal Reserve knows that. Jerome Powell knows that actually. And take a look what they're looking and what even that media is talking. They're afraid. That is the reason in the past, when they did for a couple of countries who told we will not use your country, they had a war or they killed them. But now, United States cannot go and tell you need to use our dollar, otherwise we'll put sanctions. Sanctions didn't work on Russia. Sanctions will not work on India. Sanctions will not work on China. I'm talking top two for top five countries of GDP where India and China are there in the top five. And US cannot tell that if you don't use our dollar, we will put sanctions. We are far away from that actually. And if you look what SWIFT, I'm telling you, the whole hegemony of dollar is because of SWIFT. The sanction is of basically disconnecting the whole banking sector from the SWIFT network, and that has failed. Desperately, Swift will go, vanish, demise. That is the existence of Swift, and the banks are moving away from the Swift. And I'm talking about who holds and who control the till date the gold, who manipulated gold. I would put it in the same way. JP Morgan, JP Diamond, take the whole tier one banks who are the shareholders of the Federal Reserve, which is a private sector run by nothing but bankers, and these people who actually shorted, controlled from the LBMA. Now Chinese banks exited LBMA. Nobody discussed about it actually. Shocking news. Nobody wants to discuss about why Chinese bank left. Why the heck in Shanghai market the gold price is going high, and why in the comics where in US they're actually, and what is happening to the paper gold? That's the whole point. Nobody wants to hold paper gold because the more you short, you suppress paper gold, the more people will take out from the vaults, the more
Right.
physical gold will be brought. That's the whole point. My point
Right.
is this. Yeah, my point is very simple. The gold price will rise, will rise, will rise. There is no going back, and a dollar demise is there. Best of luck anybody who wants to hedge against dollar and thinks that's a will be will be pegged to even other countries. Everybody are moving CBDC, central bank digital currency. Look at, there's a whole website which talks about which all country have already started. India is there in far ahead from other countries where we are already adapting CBDC. And maybe people
Right.
have received in their phone messages also. We have central bank digital currency. That's where we are
Prince.
moving. Thank you.
Right, right. And Amit is going to gift me gold on every subsequent rise from here, right? Yeah, Mohit, you had something to say.
अरे नहीं नहीं, I was just wanting to move away from the topic.
राइट राइट ओके ओके हाँ मुझे लग रहा है हमारी ऑडियंस घर का सोना या तो बाहर फेंक देंगे या मुझे गिफ्ट कर देंगे बिकॉज सिंस द बिगिनिंग वेट वेट so it appears that I mean, we had very different views on this asset class, and I leave up to our audience to use their sane mind and decide on their own rather than going by anybody's views. Those views are purely individual views and by no means any sort of endorsement from any of the speakers. Yeah, Vineet, you have some concluding on your part, and then we can wrap up. It's almost 3 hours, and I also have to like wrap it up. Yeah, yeah, Vineet.
Oh, sure. No, I think it's been a very good discussion. Yeah, it's always good to listen to different voices and different.
यार आवाज कम आ रहा है विनीत.
Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, Prince, आवाज आ रही है?
कम आ रही है.
Uh, I'm not sure क्यों यार. The phone is right next to my mouth actually. अब ठीक है ना?
Okay, you can continue. आ रही है.
Okay, okay, great. Yeah, I was just saying it's good to listen to different points of view from everybody. I think it's been a very good discussion. I will just my closing thoughts are just one thing that, and I actually wrote about this recently as well. I think Gurjot and I had a bit of a discussion on Twitter as well, and we have differing views, which is great because both of us get to learn from each other. My view is that we should think of all market falls and not try to correlate them necessarily with previous falls in say a 2008 or in a 2020. I think while it's good to know price action history, I think that price action history needs to be overlaid with the context in which the economy is, in which the different businesses are, in which the global and local liquidity situation is, and in terms of which sectors are the one where money is flowing, and which businesses and which types of industries are doing better than others. I think those contexts change wildly, and they're very different today for India versus what they were in 2008 as well as in 2020. And so these kind of falls, they happen all the time. In 2020 there was a very clear trigger which led to the collapse, and obviously other factors like global liquidity landed up creating the early stages of the bull rally that we saw post COVID. Uh, the fall now is, potentially because of completely different reasons. The volume profile is very different. The geopolitical situation is very different. So the small point that, while it's important to know what happened in the past, we should try and not get overly influenced or biased by previous price actions and try to superimpose what happened in those price actions to what's going to happen now. This could be completely different. The situation is completely different. So think of this purely from first principles, and I think business first. And so long as you're buying into businesses which are going to, or at least have the highest probability of delivering profitable cash flows and are available at reasonable to cheap valuations, which is the case even now, I think you'll be fine. Stay away from the speculative names and the ones that are trading at obscene valuations and factoring many years of growth. But yeah, I don't think people should think of small caps as one common basket all the time. While the fall has been across the board, the recovery will probably not be across the board. And the good companies, the well-run companies, the cash-rich companies, growing companies at good valuations will rise much faster than a lot of the companies which have gone up only on stories, and those companies will take a very long time to grow into their valuations. That's all.
Thanks, Vineet. And so for our audience, let me draw a parallel. Was basically every time I try to quote that Bandara or maybe Mandir ka Prasad wala example. So you have to be in a position wherein you should not be chappal bhi chali gayi, prasad bhi nahi mila और भगवान के दर से dejected वापस आ गए. So you have to ensure that you have the necessary patience so as to wait for your turn to get your prasad, and you have to firmly wear your chappals, or for that matter you have to protect your capital. And definitely we all should be we should not be feel dejected in front of market. And when I draw this parallel, especially will be keeping in the equity markets, and there were some extreme example being discussed during the conversation, 3 hour long discussion. So definitely you should not panic about those 20 plus 10 48% kind of thing, or also not going to jump tomorrow buying gold. You have to take a rational decision by doing your due diligence, because it is your money. Nobody is going to compensate if you make a wrong decision basis this discussion. So with that caveat, I would request all of you to, remain composed. And as everyone was saying, that it is more about picking individual businesses, good businesses with good economics. And definitely the people who are with trading mindset has to see the broader market breadth. And if that is not going in your favor, so definitely you should not be doing some impulsive trading. Keeping cash is again one of the position. And especially you regret not having cash when the market gives you great opportunities in such knee-jerk reactions or correction. Sheetal was also pointing out that his focus is primarily on the business, his earnings, listening to the con calls, reading annual report and all. So if we all can in our capacity can do that, so that is one of the best thing. And especially Vineet spoke a lot about his process. The clarity of process is again one thing which is very essential so as to make big money in the market. And obviously some people, obviously nothing for or against anyone, but I myself feel that we are not capable of timing the market. And it's a fair assumption if I say on part of the majority of the market participant that to a fair degree they cannot also time the market barring one or two incidences. So if you are unable to do that, you have to accept that, and you should not be doing any in and outs in the market, because that has transaction cost and as well as opportunity cost, in the sense whenever you exit any position. So I mean, behaviorally, I have experienced this in the past. It's very difficult to get again into that investment. So obviously, the biases has to be overcome. But again, you have to form your process because big money is made when time is by your side and you have a process in place, and the clarity of your thoughts and process is very essential. So once again, I would request each and every one of you that thanks for taking out time. And these days, we often see more participation because people are curious, anxious, and whatnot, right? But again, you have to buy yourself time, take your time, analyze your portfolio. If you have done some mistake in the sense like you have less conviction ideas, then definitely you will be reconsidering your investment, because you never know that if something has corrected 30%, that may also correct 70, 80, 90%, and even the company might also wipe up whole of your investment in that company. So again, basis which you have invested should be evaluated, and if it's on the basis of social media, TV, or other platforms, be it Telegram or etc., then definitely you would be feeling in a sad state of affair at this point in time. But again, slowly and gradually, you should build your process. And if you think that doing due diligence on individual company is not your cup of tea, it's always good to spend, I mean, zero point 0.5 or say 1% of your total capital on some good advisory or reports basis, which you can like outsource that work to some good professionals. Again, by no means endorsing anyone or endorsing this thing. If you are capable enough to do it on your own, that's great. And if you feel that there has to be someone who has to assist on that, and again, even if you are subscribing to some good advisory, then you have to totally trust that person and follow the process rather than I mean, subscribing to A and B and then devising something which is C, and that is, I mean, whichever way. But if you think you are smart enough so that the C is much better than A and B individually, then again, hats off to you, and good luck for the market. But again, broadly, what I've seen is people often come here or uh, even in the tweets look for like confirmation biases of their investment, and if some big handle tweets any name, so people go gung-ho about that. So even in this correction also, as everybody was advising, you should not be like going after any names which has corrected tomorrow. Take your time, and if say you have to buy 100 shares for example, so make it a point you buy it in tranches of say 20, 25 times, or some kind of format which is more comfortable and rewarding, in the sense like one time investment can happen that there could be further correction, and then you feel यार क्यों पहले मैंने invest किया. So again, regrets are always part to this equity market. We cannot escape that. But again, we should not be repeating same mistakes again and again. And market is not going to close tomorrow, so stay there. And especially if you survive these tough times, so definitely you will do great when the times are euphoric. So with that note, I take everybody's leave and thank our speakers and co-host. And one again, same request to all the participants: do follow our co-host and our speakers who share great knowledge without any hidden agendas. Probably we try to ensure that we do not provide speaker to anyone who has some agenda at hand. And again, if we figure out something at later point in time, so we definitely disconnect with that person. So idea is to educate, because we do not want anybody to see अगर हमारी स्पेसेस सुन के कोई पैसा नहीं बना रहा, that is again well taken, but हमारी स्पेसेस सुन के कोई नुकसान कर रहा है, तो that is criminal on our part. So please जो disclaimers disclosures हैं उनको बार बार सुने. और I once again reiterate, कोई भी स्पीकर कितना भी renowned है, अपने थॉट शेयर करता है, तो दैट शुड नॉट बी कंस्ट्रूड एट एनी काइंड ऑफ investment advice. With that note, I take everybody's leave. Thank you so much, and Also, you can like same as my handle name, the YouTube handle is also Accidental Investor Prince. तो अगर आपको लगता है कि we are adding some value by uploading these conversation on that YouTube, तो surely you can subscribe or spread a word so that we also get the needed motivation so as to continue to host such long 3 hour sessions and maybe more. We try to ensure that we can provide you the best in our capacity. Thank you again. Good night. Take care.